snow. Wow. So it's cold outside, but it should be. We are in the middle of January today. January the 8th of 2021. Nice to have you with us. We just yesterday talked about how many Hall of Famers we have lost this past year, and we lost another one. It is hard to believe that Tommy Lasorda has not managed baseball for about 24 years. You would think he was still managing just till a couple of years ago because he was such a presence, such a face of baseball, such a character of baseball, a guy who truly was an ambassador. I remember him coming here years ago to try to raise money for amateur baseball in the area. He loved the game. He loved people. He loved Italian
Reggie
food.
Williams.
He loved Reggie Williams. And he passes away at the age of 93. He went from a sudden heart attack. So it really was a blessing where you're sitting in your house and all of a sudden, I guess you don't feel good and you don't come out of that. I hope it was not painful for him.
93 years.
Yeah.
Woo,
I mean, obviously, anybody take that deal, right?
Yeah. And Dave, remember, and if you ever went to St. Louis around a Dodgers series or a World Series, remember when we saw him in Charlie Gito's with Joe Garagiola?
Yep.
And I mean, he loved Charlie Gito, and Charlie Gito loved Tommy Lasorda. And when he was in town, it was going to be a big plate of pasta in front of him in St. Louis.
Can I ask you a question? Like, not like I really know him well or anything, but did he ever eat?
He was great to us.
Did he ever eat anything but Italian food? I'm serious.
So.
I mean, I think he got up in the morning and had garlic bread instead of
I
a bagel. He had garlic bread. Come on.
I do too. It sustained him for 93 years.
Yeah.
What a great character of the game, but he was a great skipper. I mean,
no question.
Most people just kind of not clownish, but just fun loving Tommy Lasorda. But he was a great tactician, and got the Dodgers to the 81 and 88 title, and he got to see his Dodgers, and he always said he bled Dodger blue, and he got to see his Dodgers win it last fall.
Listen, when you take your team to 2 World Series championships, this is all in 20 years, 4 National League pennants, 8 divisional titles. He was twice the National League Manager of the Year. He had 1 win shy of 1,600, 1,599.
Couldn't they just let him manage one last year's ceremonial?
Dave Roberts
make it 1,600.
Dave Roberts should have come in and said,
"Can he see to win?"
When they had their ace on the mound, he should have said, "Come on down. I want you to manage this game just till you get to 1,600." 1,599.
Did the Dodgers ever lose? Did they ever lose more than about 2 or 3 in a row last year in the short sprint? Because they dominated that. They were so clearly the best team.
I'm not sure they did.
They could have run him out. They could have run him out there in one of those and got 1,600. Forever, Dave, he was the long-time understudy to Walter Alston. Wondering, he's going to get the job someday, but heck, when? It was like poor Jim Ellis at State waiting on Jack.
That's exactly right. Well, the interesting thing is each of them. I'm not sure if at the end Lasorda didn't get more, but I know that they had a Dodger history of only signing their manager to 1-year deals.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. And when Lasorda took over, it was a 1-year deal. I don't know if that was the way it was at the end, but you're right. He had to wait for like 15, 20 years before he finally got the gig, and then it lasted longer than Jim Ellis did, waiting on Jack Crystal.
And he was forever a Dodger in their minor league system, befriended so many of them. He managed so many of them in the minor leagues. I think Albuquerque was the AAA outpost most of those famed Dodgers years. Great organization, first-class organization, world champs, and whenever we get back to the ballpark, they will have a Tommy Lasorda night extraordinaire.
Yeah, it's been a tough sort of week for the Dodgers because not only did they just lose Tommy Lasorda, but Vin Scully's wife passed away at the age of 76, she was much younger than Vin. And she was a big Dodger fan.
Everybody's younger than Vin Scully.
Well, that's true. Even I think Lasorda was younger than Vin Scully.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, Dave. And I had an older friend in Forest City several years ago, and he said, I've lived so long, I've buried all my friends.
I know. Yeah, that is one of the worst parts of getting older, is that you do lose your lifelong friends. Vince Scully, by the way, is the same age as Tommy Lasorda. They're both 93 years of age. Yeah, just to double check that to be sure. And then one of their great fans, Larry King, is, at least I think he's out of ICU. We mentioned it yesterday. He's had COVID, so it has been a traumatic week for the Los Angeles Dodgers. We hope that it gets a whole lot better. Yesterday, it became known that Obina Eze was going to enter the transfer portal. There was no animosity at all between Eze and the coaching staff at all. And they wished him well because he graduated and he gave it his all while he was here. Apparently, speculation anyway, is that Eze had done some homework on his own sort of status and learned there are some things he has to become better at. And I mentioned yesterday his footwork has gotten better, but he had not had that explosive, striking sort of capability with the footwork. That's got to be worked on. His consistency level was another thing that when he was asking people about, that was another issue. The third thing, however, apparently, was that if he were to make the NFL, people around the NFL were saying they needed to see him play better competition. I kind of worry about that and wonder about that, because you and I have had this discussion about the American being a better football league than it is a basketball league. It is clearly the best of the group of five. And, some of the teams at the top certainly play at the level of competition with Power 5 teams. But the word was that Eze needed to be more consistent and to show it against maybe better competition. So Eze has transferred. He is going to TCU, so he's going to play for Patterson.
Well, and those guys really do their homework now, and they find the perfect landing spot. Probably go through that transfer a little more thoroughly than they do when they're coming out in high school, and they're certainly more mature and kind of way of the world, a little more wily about things, and can get a lot of input. And I don't think there should be any rancor whatever player, especially if they've graduated and they put in that academic work and they've competed for you well on the field, and he has. I think when they decide to go, all you can say is best of luck. Thank you. Good luck.
Exactly. And I do want to point out, because I did the homework on this today just to be doubly sure, Devontae Dobbs is the young man that has transferred, who was a 5-star out of high school, who transferred from Michigan State to Memphis. He played in a couple of games, I can't remember how many, in 2019, and then did not play last year, and was not enamored with the coaching change that was made. And that's the reason he got into the transfer portal and came to Memphis. But when he did play in 2019, he was a left tackle, which, by the way, is Obina Eze's position. So I don't know for a fact, but that could have played into the decision that Eze made to transfer. So we'll see.
Yeah, it could be plug and play for him. So he didn't like the direction Mel Tucker was taking Michigan State.
Correct.
He signed up more for Mark D'Antonio.
Yes, he did.
It happens.
Oh yeah.
And I don't mind these players' freedom of movement. I don't.
Freedom
these
of
darn
movement.
Coaches leave during the middle of the dinner.
I was just going to say freedom of coaches to move. And that's another thing that the Tigers addressed today with Pete Lembo going. And I got to tell you, I thought Pete Lembo was a special guy. He was a storyteller. The one thing about Pete Lembo, if you asked a question, be prepared for about 2 to 3 minutes at least to listen, because he was going to tell you every different angle of the question that you asked. He was going to make sure that he answered your question. He's a wonderful guy, and he got probably double the money to go to Penn State to be a special teams coach and to be an associate head coach. So he's getting a lot of green by leaving the U of M, and we only wish him the best. But the Tigers replaced him today with a guy from Texas. Swoboda is his name. He was at Rice. He's the new special teams coordinator. They had very good special teams at Rice under him. He was a longtime high school coach in the state, and he's an excellent recruiter, and he brings the Texas ties. So that was a part of the strategy and the thinking of Ryan Silverfield when he hired Swoboda. So the Tigers do have the replacement now to Pete Lembo. Grizzlies last night, another tough loss. They have yet to win at home. I believe they are now 0-5. They will play
Arguably worst loss of the year.
Well, that was turnovers. And here's an interesting thing. And I tip
super average team without Colin Sexton.
Without Kevin Love and Colin Sexton and a couple of other guys too. So they were without key players, just the same way Memphis was. And Memphis had their chances, but they again didn't play well in the fourth quarter, just like they didn't against the Lakers. They had way too many turnovers. Here's something that you just wouldn't think of the Cleveland Cavaliers, but I give Pete Pranica the credit for this one. And I'm not sure exactly what the statistic is called, but in essence, this is what it is. It's crunch time is how you and I would call it, because we have Taco Bell crunch time. But when the game is in the last 5 minutes, and if a team is within 5 points, either way, there's a term for whatever that period of the last 5 minutes is. It's a competitive time. And believe it or not, under those guidelines, under those parameters for that particular statistical category, the Cleveland Cavaliers lead the NBA in the last 5 minutes. If they're within 5 points of the competition, they're 4-0 this year.
They just got to keep it close then, and they did last night. Stayed within shouting distance, and then pulled away at the end. And I thought down the stretch, the Cleveland coach thoroughly outcoached the Memphis coach.
Well, that guy was once a Memphis coach, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
I'm glad J.B. Bickerstaff got
too.
his chance, and hopefully he makes the most of it. Heck, they're now over 500, and the Grizzlies are now 2-7 and struggling. They play the Nets tonight, a team they beat in Brooklyn. They beat them in overtime. In the game they beat them in overtime, there was no KD and there was no Kyrie, and guess what? Neither of them are going to be there again tonight.
No, Kyrie Irving's going to miss again, and I don't know all the details on why he's missing. I hope it's not anything serious, but the competitive fires don't burn that hot with him, do they?
Well,
he misses a lot of games.
He does.
For a lot of reasons.
I'll say this, though. Down the stretch of big games, his competitive fires light up. But on a January night in Philadelphia or in Memphis, especially when his buddy KD is not playing, maybe they don't burn as bright then. It'll be interesting to see if it is ever revealed why he is not playing the last couple of games with KD also out. I don't know if you noticed, but I had to double check today as to, I swear I saw fans in FedEx Forum last night for the Grizzlies game. Now the Tigers.
I didn't. I didn't notice that. You did. You told me that.
They were there on Tuesday as well.
The Grizzlies.
Yes.
Yes. The Tigers, the last two games, since the edict came down that you could not have fans inside, Tigers have had no fans whatsoever at the games since, I guess it was, there were fans for Arkansas State and Central Arkansas. I think beginning with the Tulsa game, there were no fans. Okay. So I called the Grizzlies today. I wanted to know what the deal was. Was the policy changing? Were they going to allow fans in from here on out? I mean, we're still spiking, and I'll give you those numbers here in just a second. Wow. So how in the world could that be the case? Well, here's the answer. The only people that have been allowed to go to the Grizzlies games are The floor seat holders is what they're called. The ticket buyers that have tickets for the floor seats. You know why they're allowed? Because they are going through the protocol that the players are. They're getting tested in order to be in proximity of the Grizzlies bubble. So these guys are going through regular
the ticket
tests.
holder
And
or
you know
the
what?
organization?
That's a great question, and I should have asked that. I am going to say, since they pay so much money for those tickets, and they're still, and you buy them all at one time, I'm going to say that the Grizzlies paid for it, but I'm guessing when I say that.
And I asked that. I don't really care because neither the Grizzlies organization money nor those nice people that are buying those tickets money is my money.
That's
and
right.
They can spend it however they see fit.
So there are 74 of those that are allowed to sit on the floor. I don't think there were all 74 of them there yesterday, but there are 74 that have agreed to that protocol and that can go to the games.
Well, that's the healthiest people in town then.
Yeah, they're
tested.
good. It's exactly right. And the others that are allowed are the players and coaches' families. And I'm assuming that those are the ones that are sitting sort of behind the players' bench.
Those are the ones in the actual stands.
In the stands, yeah. That is how I view it. But I really wondered. I said, wait a second. How can the Grizzlies do this and the Tigers cannot? And it's very simple. They're getting tested, and that is why, and that is fair. And so I'm glad for them, and I hope that we aren't there today, as you'll hear, but I hope more and more we get the opportunity for fans to come in when we get through with this spike in a couple of weeks from the holidays, and we got more testing going on, but we get more vaccines in, and hopefully that's going to occur, and I'll give you some information on that in a minute. Then we will be allowing at least some people, the 20% or whatever the heck it was, the 3,000 for Tiger games, back into the stadium.
Playoff time this weekend. It starts tomorrow. 3 games tomorrow, 3 games Sunday. One of the best times of the year. I can't wait to have all the fun with FanDuel this week, with FanDuel Sportsbook. If you've never tried FanDuel before, the playoffs are the perfect time to give it a shot, because right now, new users get an exclusive 25-to-1 odds boost on any team to win during the playoff round this weekend. Any team to win. New Orleans to win. Buffalo at home to win. Tampa Bay on the road. That's right, 25-to-1 odds. Any team, any playoff game this weekend. So don't miss out on this exclusive offer all season long. I hope you had the chance to be enjoying FanDuel. If you haven't, start this weekend. Easy to register, easy to deposit. FanDuel, they pay your winnings in as little as 24 hours. All the player props, futures, find whatever bet you're looking for. It's FanDuel. They have heaps of options. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and use promo code CASH so they know we sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code CASH. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only. Must wager on designated boost market. Deposit required. Max bonus $125. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789. This hour of our show brought to you every day by the one and only Lexus dealership in town. That is Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. 901-362-8833. That's their number. Go by and see them. They are offering the golden opportunity. Start the new year at Lexus of Memphis. Great sales event on the few remaining 2020s. Always special lease options in all those beautiful 2021 cars like that LS 500. Put yourself behind the steering wheel of that and drive that new 2021 LS 500, and you'll be looking and driving great. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design they make for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, I'm going to go with the NFL revealing their all-pro team. And if there was any doubt who the MVP was going to be, it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. He was the all-pro quarterback. Congratulations to Derrick Henry. He is the all-pro running back. So Rodgers the quarterback. Henry is the running back. This is how good the Packers are in the minds of AP that puts out this all-pro team. The Packers had 4 on the all-pro team. Besides Rodgers, they had Devontae Adams, and he's deserving. They had two offensive linemen, David Bakhtiari, who is injured now, and the center, Corey Lindsley. Two offensive linemen that are protecting Aaron Rodgers and giving him time to throw to Devontae Adams. That is why Green Bay is so darn successful.
My top story, busiest weekend for the NFL and playoffs in almost 40 years, and sadly with limited fans. They're going to allow a few at a couple of places, but there'll be a lot of empty seats. The NFL, they did it, though. They made it. They made it to this point, and Roger Goodell has had him a year, hadn't he? From the draft to now, he's been way off the radar, very low-key, no huge controversies, and he's kind of marshaled them through all the choppy waters. He has delivered for his bosses, and that's what he's always done best. No credit. He gets very little credit for it, but he has delivered for them. He always delivers for them financially, and now, just like he always does, he can always show the results. There's no financial questions around the NFL, like with the NBA having to increase the debt limit. And the dereliction of Manfred can't even be mentioned with Goodell. Everybody praises Adam Silver. Roger Goodell always delivers for his bosses, and that's what he wants more than anything.
Well, I think he was a guy, which is a little ironic because the guy replaced Pete Rozelle before.
He replaced Paul Tagliabue.
Yeah, but before Tagliabue was the guy that really brought the league into being, and that was Pete Rozelle, who was a public relations guy. And unfortunately, that is not the case for the current commissioner. But the current commissioner, I think, has swung the pendulum. Not maybe 180, but certainly 90 degrees to a very favorable position. And it all started with him not wearing a suit, doing the draft from his basement on Zoom. That was the beginning of, I think, his perception turnaround. Is that fair?
Fair with me.
Okay.
Not top story of the day.
Well, those are the numbers. The University of Memphis women have lost their fourth game this year to COVID. The game on Wednesday night, a home game, has been canceled because of COVID problems with the opposition. It is not with the Lady Tigers themselves, but their game on Wednesday, I believe it was with Wichita State, has now been postponed. Also today, in Shelby County, 898 new cases, 19 deaths. That's over 1,000 deaths now in Shelby County. That's in the county. 6,000 tests yesterday at a 15% rate. Hospitalization, thank goodness, stayed pretty much the same. Next week, the state will open up an online portal that will bring a little bit more order and certainty to vaccinations and end the long lines at some of these drive-through places. It will end those drive-through as soon as they get more vaccinations. They are still short on that and have not gotten it. There were 6,700 new cases in the state of Tennessee, 634,000 total, and now we've surpassed 7,500 fatalities in the state, 1,000 in Shelby County. In Mississippi, 2,000 new cases, 233,000 total, 5,100 have passed away. In Arkansas, 246,000 cases. They are approaching the 4,000 mark in fatalities. 22.25 million in America, with 95,000 new today, 375,000 deaths, to 8 2/3 million active cases still out there. And across the world, 89 million now, 455,000 new, 1.9 million who have passed, to 23 million active cases around the world.
My not top story, it was Bama domination last night on the awards show. 7 individual awards out of, I think, 14.
That's amazing.
And the Joe Moore O-line award, but no defensive award. It was all offensive players winning that for Bama. They've got one more thing to win. We know what that is. That's Monday night. And the key on Monday night will be that Bama defense. I watched the Ole Miss-Alabama game again today and still marvel how how easily all night Ole Miss moved the ball. I know that's one game, but there were other teams that moved it on Alabama, maybe not as easily. Florida moved it pretty well in the second half. Notre Dame really never did. But Monday night, it will come down not to defense. It won't be a defensive game, but you got to get some defensive stops.
I was going to say this, and certainly this is not to belittle anything that Nick Saban does, but when you've got 7 offensive awards, it would tell you why Texas was so interested in Steve Sarkisian, huh? Wouldn't it? And those are our top and our not top stories. We are busy today. Bruce Marshall comes your way in just a couple of minutes. Jason Munz, beat writer from the Commercial Appeal for the Memphis Tigers. He'll join us at 4. Andy Schiffman is back. He starts with us at 5 o'clock on the NBA, and we do have another Grizzlies game tonight. That will be against the Brooklyn Nets at home. That is your top and your not top stories. We are officially underway on this Friday on Sports Time.
You have opinions?
I think they got a lot of athletic ability.
We want to hear them.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you.
Call us on the First Bank phone line at 360-8255 or text us on the First Bank text line at 67129.
Need to sell your home? You're in luck because I buy houses. All you have to do is call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that PIN, 901-406-1101, or just save it in your phone. Bill at I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses buys houses in any area, in any condition, at any time. As simple as that. I Buy Houses is guaranteed to close in 5 days. So if you need your cash fast, just call Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. Has your house been on the market? Were you just tired of renters? Or is it just time to start over? Well, avoid repairing, cleaning, painting, and prepping your house. Just pick up the phone and call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses. If you're in Southwind, South Memphis, North Mississippi, North Memphis, Collierville, if you can hear this, just call my friend Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/news. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 115 years. I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats. So easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. Stock up heavy on all of your favorite Dinstall's treats. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
And welcome back in. We will be chatting with our friend from Davies, the Golden Man from the Gold Sheet. That is Bruce Marshall. We got lots to talk with him about, including all 6 of the NFL games and the college football championship game Monday night. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios this weekend. You need to get to I-40 and Witten Road and check out the early bird sale. Get now, right there. You'll be able to reserve and get great priority for installation of a brand new pool. It's the early bird pool sale. Beat summer price increases. Get it now. Be safe, and you'll be the first one to get your above-ground pool installed this spring. And by the way, they still got hundreds of spas on order. They got the spa sale going with the early bird pool sale. You can reserve yours right now. And if you're looking for something in stock and you want to go just to hang out because the place is so cool, and it's always in great shape, really. They always have great product in there. Play gyms in stock and ready to be installed in your backyard. Please just go check them out. Tell them we sent you. Go see Lindsay and Billy and all the crew. That is Family Leisure, I-40 and Witten Road, where family and fun do come together. This story just sort of coming out, and that is that the terrific Cincinnati quarterback Desmond Ridder is going to return to school. So that immediately, Brett, makes them the favorites in the American next year. And I'd say I'd have to think Memphis would be number 2.
I do too, Dave, and I don't know what the schedule will look like, but it would make sense if they were to meet in the regular season. That should be the Liberty Bowl Stadium appointment.
Sure would be, and it should be. And I will give Mike Oresco a lot of credit. I think thus far, Mike tries to put the top contenders playing each other and the ones on the bottom playing each other. So I am going to assume Memphis will play Cincinnati at the Liberty Bowl next fall, and it could very well be the last game of the year. In the meantime, we've got the last games of the year coming. We got the playoffs in the NFL starting with 2 triple headers, and we've got the college football national championship coming up with Alabama and Ohio State. There's nobody better to break it down and tell you who's going to win, who's going to lose, and I know Brett's got all the facts and figures to back up what a great year Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet has had. Happy New Year, my friend. How are you?
Happy New Year, guys. Yeah, we're got one more college game to talk about. We arrived here. Didn't think we'd get there at some point this year, but here we are.
We got a lot.
Bruce, you are batting about 57% with us for the year. You are 77 and 57. That's 61 and 46 in college, 57%. 14 and 11 in the NFL, 56%. You throw it all in there, you're at about 57% for the year. You'll take that every year, won't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize I should have been betting on my picks this year, maybe. But, yeah. No, we had a good start. And, this is my thought on this year. It was no harder or easier than any year. I mean, it was any year can be difficult, and this was no different this season. There's some different parameters, and a lot of these games got pulled off the board late and things like that, and some late changes, which made it different. But it wasn't any harder or easier to pick games this year than normal.
All right.
Did you have a single moment all year where you thought, oh, Vegas has this terribly wrong? They just don't know about this or that, or with roster issues? Did you ever one time you think you saw Vegas really laid out?
I'm sure there must be. Coming right to mind, maybe not. I think early on, a couple of those Sun Belt games where they didn't, where the Sun Belt was on the road and doing well in non-conference. That was really the surprise to me, and I thought it was pretty apparent early those Sun Belt teams could play, and they kind of kept doing it. So, that would have the Sun Belt. I thought was the more interesting development of the year.
All right, let's start with the game Saturday, then Sunday, and then the championship college game on Monday. The first NFL game of the Saturday triple header is Indy at Buffalo. Buffalo giving away 6.5 points. Buffalo, the number 2 seed behind only the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC. How does Bruce Marshall and the Gold Sheet see that game?
Well, Dave, I'll preface all the wild card round chat with a couple of trends to note from recent years. It's been a big underdog round, 10-1 versus the spread the last 3 years. They had one pick 'em in there with the Eagles and Seahawks last year, and the One loser for the underdog was Buffalo against Houston last year when the Bills had a 16-0 lead, lost that game by 3 in overtime as a 2.5-point dog. So it has been a dog round, and it has been an under round. All 4 under last year, 24-8 to the under the last 8 years in this round. So that's going back a ways. Having said all that, in this game, we're going to buck the trends both ways there, favorite and over. Buffalo, and we're going to lay the points here. The Bills, my thought is these organically grown teams like the Bills, although they've augmented a little bit with a couple trades here and there. But there's usually a stage as they go. And last year, and I really counted starting last year, not 3 years ago when Tyrod was still at quarterback. Last year with Josh Allen, you get to the playoffs, you lose. You've been there, and then the next year you take the next step up. And I could sort of see that happening with Buffalo here. Indy is interesting, dangerous. They're running the ball a lot better with Jonathan Taylor down the stretch. Frank Reich, back to Buffalo. Remember what he did 28 years ago in the playoffs there against the Oilers. And Miami against Maryland, by the way, if you can go back that far. Maryland against Miami, talk about Mr. Comeback. But I think with them, Rivers can't throw that much. He threw 40 times, only 4 times this year, and they lost 3 of those. So I think they're going to get behind at some point, and they're going to have to rely on Rivers, and I'm not sure he's going to be able to do it. 34-23, Buffalo. So we will take the Bills on this one.
All right, next.
Second game on Saturday is at 3:40 in Seattle. No fans, plenty of rain. Will there be Jared Goff?
I think so, though we're not going to know him for sure until tomorrow. But even if he's there, I'm not sure that helps the Rams much. I mean, he wasn't throwing too well with his thumb good. Now he's got 2 screws in it, and he's going to try to throw tomorrow. I don't know. Goff really went down, I thought, this year. Didn't play well up there in that game against Seattle a couple weeks ago. The overwhelming call here. Now, here I'm going to go back to the under trend in this round. These games have been very competitive, low-scoring games lately. Actually, the Rams have sort of had the edge. They lost that game, I know, it's a couple weeks ago, but they have looked stronger than Seattle when they've played. Seattle hasn't been able to run much on them. They've got Wilson somewhat in check. This has got underwritten all over it. I think 42.5 is way too high. And Seattle had been under 7 in a row into last week, and that game was trending under against the 49ers until the last couple of minutes. That roughly coincides with Chris Carson's return to Seattle lineup. So I think lower scoring here. Lean to Seattle a little, 19-13 updated score forecast for the Seahawks, but that's a really strong undervote tomorrow for us.
So let me get this right, just so I got to clarify. You came in and said underdogs in the wild card round are 10-1, and you've taken both favorites. What are you going to do here with Tampa at Washington? You got to go all 3 favorites, don't you?
No, we're going dog here. We're going to go dog here. Although Washington, we'll see after that last week. I mean, I haven't seen anything that ridiculous what the Eagles pulled since the second Ali Liston fight, last week. So, I mean, that was pretty bad. But
that was.
They have a defense, and they're going to collapse the pocket on Brady. I know Tampa Bay's looked pretty good the last couple of weeks, but against teams that couldn't play defense, this team can. And Alex Smith is back, although he's limited somewhat. And I could see Heineke in the lineup, as Rivera has said. Keep in mind that Heineke played for Rivera at Carolina, so the system, it wasn't that much of an adjustment for him, and he played pretty well when he had to come in a couple weeks ago against the Panthers. So I could see them spotting him in there some. Their defense keeps them in the game. I don't think Washington can win it, but this will be another under recommendation. And the Skins here, 22-19 updated score forecast. Tampa Bay wins close. Does not cover. We think Washington plus the points worth a look.
Washington plus the points. That gets us to Sunday, 12:05. The Tennessee Titans in a rematch of last year's game against the Ravens. A lot of questions about Lamar Jackson, 0-2 in playoffs. He can really tell the critics to go take a hike with this one. The Ravens, a 3.5 point road favorite in Nashville Sunday at noon. Break it down for us.
Brad, I'll go back a little further. Lamar Jackson in college, his 2 bowl games with Louisville, he lost. So in these big stages, he has not performed all that well. And we've seen it in the playoffs the last 2 years where his team fell behind and they weren't able to play catch-up. And that has been sort of a problem for the Ravens, and I'm wondering why they're even favored here. I mean, Tennessee has gone into Baltimore and beat them in the playoffs last year, won in regular season this year in overtime. Now they get Baltimore at home, though Tennessee has tended to play a little bit better on the road. Baltimore has not figured out a way to slow Derrick Henry. 195 in the playoff game last year, 129 in late November, including the winning touchdown run in overtime. Lamar did not have a big game. That game against Tennessee, 3 giveaways in the playoff game last year really hurt. And I think Tennessee has a chance to do it again. One other note here. Now, we're going to buck that under trend here in this round because Tennessee has been such an over team lately. 23-6 to the over since Tannehill took over at quarterback. And that's a great story, how Tannehill's career is resurrected. 33-30, Tennessee. We're going to call the Titans to win this. And I would caution, if Lamar Jackson can get that playoff win under his belt, Baltimore could go on a roll here. Although they weren't beating great teams for most of December, I'd be wary of the winner of this game moving forward.
Biggest line of the weekend is in New Orleans, where the Bears are 10.5-point underdogs to the Saints. 10.5 points. That is a slap in the face to Mitch Trubisky and the mighty monsters of the Midway. Bruce Marshall, 10.5's too much, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't love this game, and I think the Saints have not been covering numbers in the playoffs or winning many playoff games the last couple of years. I mean, they haven't covered a playoff game in a while, and I don't think Breeze is quite the same. They don't quite stretch the field the same. They got the Michael Thomas thing. What's going to be up with him? But this defense is playing pretty well. I think the bottom line here is, the Bears are what they were. They're 8-8. They're here because the playoffs have expanded. And, you're going to count on Trubisky. Maybe they just go for broke here and try to make something happen, which I think they probably will. But I don't trust the Bears in this spot. One other note about this round. Usually the second seed in each conference, and that includes the Saints here, they haven't been playing in the wild card round for years. This year they are, so that's a little bit different. So you got a little bit higher caliber favorite in here than we've seen in recent years, and that's one reason we're going to lean a little bit to the Saints here, 28-16. It's also an anti-Bears vote.
Saints what? What's the score?
28-16.
28-16. The Saints barely get there over the Bears Sunday in New Orleans. Last game of the weekend. And, Bruce, this could be the start of a long Baker Mayfield playoff run, and it could mark the end of the Ben Roethlisberger great run in Pittsburgh. It's the last game. Pittsburgh, 6.5-point favorite or so, 12-4 over the 11-5 Browns back in the playoffs.
Yeah, and you're right about Big Ben here. I mean, there's some people in Pittsburgh who are kind of worried that this might be it for him. 17th year. He's 38 years old. He just had 3 tendons attached to his throwing elbow last year. He had a bumpy December. So there's some questions there. Of course, the other questions, Cleveland, they're missing some key pieces here, including their head coach, who also happens to call their plays. Stefanski, they've got some other COVID-related issues here. Batonio up front, the offensive line is down a couple of key guys now. And Alex Van Pelt's going to be calling this game for Baker Mayfield this week. So can Cleveland? I think Cleveland's very dangerous here, though. And last week they played these guys. They haven't practiced in person this week, but late in the season, the practices are scaled down anyway. Everything's been done virtual. They prepared for Pittsburgh last week. The pressure was on Cleveland a week ago. They just had to get the W. They got it. Now the pressure's all on Pittsburgh. Until the second half of that Indy game a couple weeks ago, Pittsburgh had played about 18 straight quarters of listless football. They did not play well in December, and even though they subbed liberally last week and it was Mason Rudolph in there, they still lost. They've lost 4 of 5. They are not bringing a lot of momentum in here. I think Cleveland can score the upset. 23-20 Browns. Wow. We're picking Cleveland to win this thing outright on Sunday. Pittsburgh, I think, peaked in November, and I don't think they're going to be a threat in the AFC here in January.
Wow, big upset there. Okay. Final game that we talk about with Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet. The championship game. It is Alabama. What is the current line? 7.5, I think it is. The favorite against an Ohio State team. Some people, until last week, questioned, including myself, whether they should be in a playoff. They overwhelmingly answered that with the domination over Clemson. Can they hang with the mighty Crimson Tide?
Yeah, well, a lot of 8s out there now. We're going to pick Alabama, although I'm in friendly territory here. I can say that. Funny, Ohio State people, you pick against Ohio State, they want to fight you. I mean, they really do. And that's like Herb Street on TV. Don't tell me he's not partial, though. Even my wife said the other night, is he cheering for Ohio State watching the Clemson game? I said, yeah, he went there. And she said, oh, no wonder. But, yeah, they played a lot better in that game. That was the first time all year, save for maybe a little bit the Michigan State game where Ohio State looked like it did last year. I've got to question if Justin Fields can do that again, though, after that hit that he took. But they did beat up Clemson pretty good. They were able to run on them. I think that's going to be the key here. One, keeping keeping Fields in the pocket, if he's even able, if he wants to dare running with his ribs. But his mobility is a big part of his game. If that's taken away, which Bama did to Book for the most part last week, and to keep Sermon from running wild, and he ended up hurting Clemson too. That's going to be a big plus for the Tide here. So defensively, it's going to kind of be on them. But the bottom line is, I think this team is a lot like LSU last year. I don't think anybody's going to be able to trade points with these guys. Waddle may play on Monday. You put him in there with the Heisman winner on the other side, Devontae Smith and Mack. And Najee Harris is a different sort of a runner. I mean, LSU didn't have guys like him last year running the ball and attack the edge. And I thought Clemson kind of missed Tony Elliott's play calling last week. That's what it should have done. It kind of got away from that. 47-34, Crimson Tide. Yep, we'll lay the points. We'll give Alabama a shot. And even though Nick, caution, he's not been a great point spread coach in these bowl playoff games. And Ohio State doesn't lose that much, but we'll call it for Alabama Monday.
All right, fantastic stuff. Happy New Year to you and your family. And how do we get more of you, Mr. Marshall?
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Check us out, goldsheet.com. Our new issue on Monday will be coming up with the division round. We'll have some NFL season-end reviews there. Basketball Gold Sheet is new look this year. Every day we got new stuff. Goldsheet.com. My picks there, also Vegas Insider and DonBest.com.
Thank you, my friend. We appreciate you so much, and good luck. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Bruce Marshall from the Gold
Thank you,
Sheet.
Bruce.
Back in just a minute. We'll put a wrap on this very first hour on this Friday on Sports Time on Sports 56.
Listen online anywhere, anytime at sports56whbq.com.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Ben Swinger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 125 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Ben Swinger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. 2 Memphis locations, one in Midtown, on Hollywood Street across from the Liberty Bowl, and one in Cordova, off Germantown Parkway next to the Fox and Hound. Visit their website, benswingerglass.com. Ben Swinger Glass.
Hi, I'm Tito Beveridge, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, I started the first micro distillery in the state of Texas with my dog, Dog Joe, at my side. We're still working with dogs out at the distillery after all these years. Learn more about how dogs are a part of life here at Tito's Handmade Vodka at vodkafordogpeople.com. Tito's Handmade Vodka is made from corn and naturally gluten-free. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
Playoffs are my favorite time of the year. I can't wait to bet all the action this weekend on FanDuel Sportsbook. And if you've never tried FanDuel before, the playoffs are the perfect time to give it a shot. Because right now, new users get an exclusive 25-1 odds boost on any team to win during the wild card weekend. That's right, 25-1 odds, any team, any playoff game this weekend. You know what? You want to pick the Saints to beat the Bears? I would too. You can get 25-1 odds this weekend. It's an exclusive offer from FanDuel Sportsbook. I've been betting football on FanDuel all season long. I love how easy it is. I love the same game parlays. I love the live action. It is all there for you at FanDuel Sportsbook. All you have to do is download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and use promo code BIGHEAD so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code BIGHEAD. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only. Must wager on designated boost market. Deposit required. Max bonus $125. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stotts. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
What I'm saying is, this is the anthem. Throw all your hands up.
Welcome back in. Let me correct myself. When I was talking about Pete Lembo, I thank a texter at the First Bank text line for correcting me. I don't know why I said Clemson. I knew it was South Carolina. He's going to play. Going to coach with Beamer, Beamer's son, and wish him the best of luck. I said Penn State. I meant to say South Carolina, so he'll be in Columbia, South Carolina. This just in, it was speculated about a new deal earlier today. It has been resolved. Michigan and Jim Harbaugh have reached an agreement on a contract extension to remain Michigan's football coach through 2025. Well, I'll be shocked if it goes through 2025. This comes from the AD Ward Manual. Apparently, the new deal includes a lower base salary and many incentives for performance. He had 1 year left on his initial contract, which paid him slightly over $8 million. I've seen some stories where they speculated, Brett, that he was going to make half, from $8 million to $4 million. I can't believe he would have gone for that. I really can't, because I think he's got other options.
No, they left it incentivized, but he's got to hit those incentives that I think the money will be whole. But he basically negotiated for no cut or no pay increase. Question, and I think this is the litmus test on any job, whatever it is, especially in coaching. Has he, if he left today, would he be leaving Michigan better than he found it?
No, not at all.
No. That answer is unequivocally no. So he to date, now he can certainly improve. He has failed at Michigan. What happened to all those NFL offers he was going to have?
Well, I'd take him in Chicago. I can tell you that right now. As a Bear fan,
would you really?
I would. Maybe he's a better NFL coach than he is a college coach.
And he was very accomplished NFL coach. And up until really this weird year, he had been okay at Michigan, but not able to get over Ohio State.
No.
He strikes no fear in Ohio State. None.
Well, I don't think this year he struck fear against anybody. I mean, if you look at his record against his rivals, Michigan State and Ohio State, it's not very good. If you look at his record against top 25s, it's not very good. So I would have to agree with you. Jim Harbaugh has been a failure at Michigan. Do I think they could immediately do better? No. I think he's worthy. This is a weird year. Throw this year out.
Yeah.
And if he fails next year, I'm sure, because now it's so performance-based and they're done with the $8 million per year, that the buyout would be reasonable. And frankly, he would go back to the NFL. He will find another NFL job. That's why I think he's got leverage and why he could work out the deal the way he did this year. But I think Jim Harbaugh, because of the circumstances of this year, is worthy of one more year. Let's see if he can right the ship.
I do too. I think he's done enough for that school to get that. He opens with Western Michigan week 2. He will play the Washington Huskies at home, Northern Illinois, the other non-conference game, and then into the Big Ten juggernaut, and we know what, if it's a normal year, we know where it will end. It will end at the Big House against Ohio State.
And let's not forget that there are 9 conference games in the Big Ten, thus only those 3 that you mentioned that are non-conference. What has ever happened to the discussion? And I know Nick Saban was leading the way about 9 conference games in the SEC. Do you think we'll see that happen?
Not for next year. Next year's schedule's out, or it's not out. But the athletic department knows that I can't get anybody to tell me anything other than about Labor Day night against Louisville on national TV down in Atlanta. I can't get the exact dates for SEC matchups. No, but I think eventually it should go to that. And Dave, it's certainly not for right now because I hear the music playing. But at some point, I want to talk. I want to go the whole 9 yards. I'm tired of beating around the proverbial college football playoff bush. Let's go to 16 teams and shut up all the caterwauling and all the complaining. And if one beats 16, 80-0, let it be.
All right. This is for another time, but you can answer this very quickly. Would that include every conference champion in FBS?
Yes.
In other words, 10, and then 6 at large.
I don't know about every one of them. I don't know about every one of them, but maybe 6 or 7 or 8. I don't know about every one of them. I don't know if we need the WAC represented.
Well, I say
because they're not the best. That would be 80-0.
I say put the 10 in, and if that's going to be your 16th seed, put it in, and let's move on to the next. I love that, and you'd still get enough of that large where nobody could complain. That is the first hour in the books. When we come back, we turn our attention to the Tigers, and the beat writer from the Commercial Appeal is Jason Munz. He comes your way in just a minute.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies. We will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Five-Ash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five-Ash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
I want to do some bragging rights. Hey, I was just the other day overhearing a conversation with Big Mike, the manager of DeSoto Auto Sales. They've got people buying cars all over the country. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, Texas. People from all over the country buy cars at DeSoto Auto Sales in Olive Branch, Mississippi. Why? DeSoto Auto Sales has the most stringent car inspection in America. They get it right the first time. Quality and low mileage, factory warranty on most vehicles. My favorite part is the people who work there. Big Mike, all the employees are professional, friendly, and go that extra mile. Expect as you walk in the door, you're treated like family. DeSoto Auto Sales understands your time matters. We can help you find your dream car and get all the paperwork finished in less than an hour. Come see us at DeSoto Auto Sales and be part of our family. Have a great buying experience every time. 662-890-7184.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in. Hour number 2 on a Friday, frigid Friday, you could say. It's cold outside, that's for sure. Got to have a winter coat on. Not as much to do. I guess we're going to sit at home all weekend and watch football. Not much basketball to be watched tonight. We do have the Grizzlies. They'll take on the Nets. Tiger basketball has been off and will be off until next Thursday. I mentioned that the state was going to open an online portal for people to register when their time comes, or you probably get in now, for vaccinations. And I mentioned at the time that vaccinations the shots were not available in Memphis because they run out of the Pfizer and of the Moderna. Well, I just got an email that says Shelby County will start vaccinating again at the sites starting on Monday, January the 12th at 8 o'clock in the morning. So go to that portal if you can and get your name in to get it done as quickly as possible.
Dave, there's gobs of basketball. This is one of the busier Friday nights in college basketball you'll ever see, with some ranked teams. Marquette and Villanova, they've been postponed, but some other really good ranked games tonight. A lot of Sun Belt games tonight, a lot of Conference USA games tonight. And on the fly, the SEC got LSU and Ole Miss together for our SEC play. Pretty busy SEC day and 3 games in the American tomorrow. Very busy at college basketball weekend.
So Ole Miss plays LSU tomorrow, right? 7 o'clock?
Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah. And that
I don't know about that. I don't think that time. I don't think that's the right time. They play. Yes, they play it. They play them at 7:30. Pre-game's at 7.
Okay, pre-game 7 right here on Sports 56, 98.5,
Kentucky at Florida
96.1.
tomorrow. And I don't know if the "et" means so much this year. Tennessee at Texas A&M. That I think that would be. Of course, that might be a little more crowd in College Station than at most places.
Could be. I
and Drew, you know what we have tomorrow as well? The Iron Bowl on the hardwoods as Auburn hosts Alabama.
I like Alabama's chances in that game for sure. And I agree with you. I don't know if there's anything to any kind of home court advantage. And we've seen, so many teams have already lost at home, including Tulsa in the American, including the Tigers, including Cincinnati, and now including SMU. The Tigers will play them on Thursday. Time for us to bring in our friend from the Commercial Appeal. His beat is the U of M basketball Tigers. And Jason, let's start by wishing you a happy New Year. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing all right. I'm just happy to be hearing y'all's voices again, and definitely happy New Year to y'all as well.
We're ready for the Tigers to actually play ball, and when they do play on next Thursday night, the 14th, won't be back at home for another week after that one. Jason, people want to poo-poo that South Florida win. Imagine if you're having to sit and ruminate over that this long if it had been a loss.
That is a silver lining. That is definitely, that's definitely sort of an under the radar silver lining, because if they had not, if they had not gone on that run, or even if they had gone on a run and then somehow found a way to lose anyway, you want to get back on the floor as quickly as possible to get that erase that from your memory, and not being able to do that would hurt. But at the same time, you want to there's so much momentum that you picked up over that last 10-minute stretch that you'd probably like to get it back on the floor and keep that ball rolling. So I don't know. It's kind of like a double-edged sword, this long layoff.
Because of this missing the Temple game and then missing the UCF game, if the Tigers play SMU on Thursday, and I'm very hopeful that they will have gone 17 days without playing a basketball game. I know they've been practicing pretty much every day for all of this, but that's got to get old without any kind of competition. I can't imagine how this team could be sharp. Give me your sense of it.
I think I am leaning more toward the way you just described it. Now, the only thing that I might think would sort of send it in the other direction is the fact that they, up until 7 hours or 8 hours before tip-off in Orlando, they did everything. They prepared as though they were going to play that game all the way up until 8 hours ahead of tip-off. So it wasn't like they've known, they knew for days and days that game wasn't going to get played. They kept their routine. They went through their routine and everything all the way, like I said, up until right before tip-off. So that might be the only thing that I would say would be sort of a saving grace in that whole, from that standpoint. But no, I don't care how much you scrimmage in practice, no matter how many times you go up and down and just, throw the ball out there and say, all right, guys, let's have some fun. 17 days is 17 days. And yeah, it's going to be interesting at the very least. If nothing else, it's going to be interesting to see how they look. On one hand, you could say they've had 17 days to practice the new offense, 17 more days to practice the new offense. But on the other hand, like you said, you could say that's a long, long, long time to do nothing but practice. So we'll see.
And if they come out against SMU and the offense really rolls and they win, it'll back down some of the critics. I don't know that anything has been said so far that loudly or that unfairly, but there's been criticism, and in some areas, I think some of it is merited, but it is open for a lot of criticism if the Tigers came out next Thursday night and in the line offense only posted about 51 and got beat by 6 or 7 at home.
Yeah, you gotta. You mentioned the criticisms. I think they are warranted, fully warranted. The majority of them, anyway, because I was working on a story just a little while ago and crunching some numbers, and just to give you a sense of exactly how much this offense has struggled this year. If you take layup attempts, three-point attempts, and free throws, Memphis has hit 46% combined free throws, three-pointers, and layup attempts.
Wow.
Now,
that's terrible.
To extrapolate that a little bit, just on layup attempts, it's 42%. 42% of the layups that Memphis has attempted, they've missed. I don't know. You could bring the entire circus, not just the lion. You could bring the elephant. You could bring the giraffe and the hippopotamus too. If you're only hitting 42% of your layups, there's not much you can do coaching wise to.
That's right. It's not his fault that a college player can't make a bunny.
I'm not going to say that there's any that the coaching staff and Penny Hardaway is that there are things that they should be doing that they aren't, or that they could, or whatever. But I do think that it's a little bit more nuanced than just saying the offense.
Blame it on Coach Hardaway.
Penny Hardaway's fault. Yeah.
I just don't understand how that team could miss 58% of their layups. 42%.
Yeah, and Dave has noted it with Malcolm Dandridge specifically, and I think it was more off there We're not talking about Malcolm Dandridge coming down and having to be Steph Curry. He's not attempting anything, Jason, outside of about a 3-foot window.
I figure if you, and this obviously this is just off the top of my head. I don't have any way to prove this, but if you take 3-pointers, free throws, and layups, and you go from shooting 46%,
42%,
and you make it 60%, which is like, it's a drastic improvement from where they are. But like, I would venture to guess that most college basketball teams are shooting 60%. From those three areas.
From those three, it was 46%. Here's what I'd love for you to do. If a story idea for you, if you want to take the time.
Let's do it.
You just said that the 2020 Tigers, because they haven't played in 2021 yet,
right?
Shot 42% from layups, from layup range. I would love for you to look at the 2008 Tigers that were 38-2. That team,
right?
And see what their layup percentage. Now remember, that team had Joey Dorsey, Robert Dozier, CDR, Antonio Anderson, a lot of let's not forget Derrick Rose, who drove a lot. I would bet you that that they shot. The majority of shots came from layup range, and I'll bet they shot 75 to 80%.
Yeah. I have a feeling that most capable and quality college basketball teams are around 70 to 75% on layups, and Memphis is 42% right now. So it's pretty astonishing. And like I said, if you just bump that up to 60%, I would venture to say that Memphis is 8-2 or 9-1 at this point.
I would too.
If you just improve in those three areas,
the Auburn game, all those right at the rack shots,
unbelievable amount. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. It's again, not saying that Penny doesn't deserve some of the blame for what's going on here, because I think he does. But at the same time, you can't make the shots for him, and you can practice them till you're blue in the face. But if they're not making shots in games, what can you do?
I asked a little earlier about home court advantage with no crowds, and Memphis will have none on Thursday when SMU comes to town. Now, I'm talking about all games. I'm not talking just conference games at this point. But how many teams in the American do you think are perfect at home, have not lost?
Right now?
Mm-hmm.
This year? I'm going to say, just by you asking the question, I'm going to say it's less than half. I'll say it's 5.
2.
Oh, wow.
Only the Houston Cougars, and that could last. And the other one won't last because it's the East Carolina Pirates.
I don't know. He's got a pretty good team.
He's going to lose at home, I promise you, Brett.
Those are the only two teams you're saying so far this year that are undefeated at home.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely a real thing. Home court advantage is just not what it normally is, nor is, when you're, it goes both ways. When you go on the road, it's not as hard
exactly
to do that anymore. And when you're at home, you don't have as much of an advantage. So
crowds matter.
They do. Yeah.
People rattle you.
Yeah, if that proves anything.
It makes the sport. It makes college basketball the home hothouses. That's what makes college basketball part of the American sports fabric that we know and love. And I watch these games. I've enjoyed. I'm glad we have something. I'm glad we're trying. But boy, Jason, I see some of these buildings, and I'm going, that's just not how it's supposed to be. And we're going to get more and more of it now that we've turned the calendar to conference time. Last night in the American Cincinnati with a much-needed win, we talked going out last night. They'd only had 2 wins all year, Lipscomb and Furman going into last night, and they get the win at SMU. That was a critical loss for the league. I think the league is very average, Jason.
Yeah, I think it's kind of last year was a little bit like this, where outside of a couple of teams, you just really, it was just kind of a muddled mess. The top half of the league was just a little bit muddled. Besides Houston, you had the Tulsa, you had Wichita State, you had Cincinnati, you had Memphis, SMU was up there, and I think that's at least today, as we sit here today, kind of how it's shaping up to be again this year. So it's never not interesting in the American Conference.
Well, the problem for the American is they do not have very many significant non-conference wins. Now, you take a look at a team like Wichita State that finally lost a conference game, right? They lost to Houston in Houston. That they should have lost that game. Houston's supposed to be the best team, and they were 6th in the country at one point. Now they're 11. They beat South Carolina. That may be the best. Wichita State lost to Missouri at home, and they lost to one other decent team at home. So other than the Ole Miss road win, I don't know that they have a great resume. Obviously, Memphis has no resume. Tulsa, I don't. Well, let me take a look real quickly to see what their non-conference resume may be, but I don't think it's a great one. They lost to TCU. They lost to South Carolina. They beat Texas Arlington. They beat Northwestern. That's not that must be Northwestern Louisiana. It's not Northwestern of the Big Ten. They don't have any major resume building deal. I mean, let's face it. This conference is probably a 2-bid league this year, Houston and whoever finishes second. And the good news for the Tigers is they are actually tied for first right now. Well, I take that. They're a game back, but that's because Houston and Tulsa have played more games. Everybody's got one loss at the top. Memphis, Wichita State, Tulsa, and Houston all have one loss.
Which is what makes this next 3-game stretch so important for Memphis. There's a quad one opportunity for Memphis at Tulsa as it stands right now. That's a quad one game. And then hosting SMU and Wichita State, those are both quad two opportunities. So this next 3-game stretch is huge for Memphis. But going back to what you were saying before, I think UCF beat a ranked Florida State team earlier this year, but then they go and they lose to South Florida. And if Memphis beating St. Mary's is one of the top 10 marquee wins for the league, which it might be, then the league's in trouble.
Yeah, and it's still opening day is still the win of the year for the Tigers, but they have an opportunity over this next couple games, two at home, one on the road at Tulsa, with a lot of revenge for what happened last year and revenge for what happened this year.
Yeah, no, it won't be the first time they've seen them since that 80-40 just nightmare, but it will be the first time they're back in that building. And Tulsa's good again, and it's another chance to show that you've learned from your past mistakes, and we'll see if they can get it done. But they first have to take care of business against SMU, which is an 8:00 tip on Thursday, and SMU is no slouch. I mean, they're like a top 65 team in Ken Palm adjusted efficiency defense. So the offense, if they haven't made big strides over this last 2.5 weeks, by the time it tips off, then it could be another low-scoring rock fight.
Why is it you think Tulsa, well, I guess we looked at their schedule. They lose to TCU at home and South Carolina. That doesn't help their cause. But nobody ever has I guess, much respect for Frank Haith, and I'm not exactly sure why. And, here they are 4-1 again, and nobody has them in the conversation of making the NCAA tournament. And Memphis has already lost to them. And this was the team that lost early, also at home to Wichita State, when Wichita State we thought was not going to be a very good team. But, now they put together a nice little run here. They're a pretty solid team.
This is a team that beat Houston. Houston's only loss this year, if I'm not mistaken, or at least its only conference loss. No, it's its only loss of the season is to Tulsa.
Right.
And Tulsa is 73rd right now in KenPom. Let's see where they are in the net. They are...
Well, and we should point out the net, since you're going to bring that up. The net is the new formula that is used by the NCAA to determine, supposedly, by the committee, who gets in the tournament and who does not, and how they will seed and things of that nature, because it takes into account wins, losses, strength of schedule. It actually takes into account, from what I'm told, shooting percentage, points scored, how you defended. I mean, there's a lot of things in that net. And I should also say, when Memphis was getting ready to play a UCF team that is 1-2, 3-3 overall, UCF's net was better, I should say, than Memphis's.
It still is. It's like 20 points. They're 20 spots higher in the net right now than Memphis is. But that net is a really good barometer for everything, and that's where they divide in. The quad 1, quad 2, quad 3, quad 4. The more quad 1 wins, the better. The more quad 4 losses, you're in deep doo-doo at that point. But going back to Tulsa, I think the only thing I think of is just the lack of marquee wins, and I don't think they play pretty. I think they rely heavily on their defense, and they are currently they're 7-3, but they're 3-3 in quad 2 games. That's not bad, but it's not. It doesn't get you over the hump, and I think that must be why Tulsa still flies under the radar. Frank Haith flies under the radar until they can kind of clean that up a little bit. Then I think that's where they're going to be.
My criticism of him is he's never done anything in a tournament. He's never done anything in the NCAA tournament,
and that's valid. Certainly valid.
Yeah, it is. Of those 10 Memphis games, and you just read Tulsa's victories in terms of quads, where's Memphis?
Memphis is currently ranked 98th, and let's see here. They are no quad 1 wins, 0-1, and they are 1-3 in quad 2 games. They're 2-0 in quad 2-0 in quad 3, 3-0 in quad 4. Wins in quad 4 are almost like they don't even matter, and so that's where just playing quad 4 games hurts you. Whether you win, obviously losing is really, really bad, but even winning a quad 4 game doesn't help you. And so I think until, part of that's the league, part of that's the fact that they've already had to play Tulane, which is like ranked, I don't know, way, way, way down there, in the net rankings. But, that's again why I say these next 3 games are huge. I mean, as it stands today, it's 2 quad 2 opportunities and 1 quad 1 opportunity. The quad 1 being the road game at Tulsa. So if you're Memphis, if you can, get hot, then and then you hope those teams that you beat, the Wichita States, the SMUs, if they get hot later, maybe those games turn into quad 1 wins. So it's there's a lot that goes into it. But this next 3 game stretch is very pivotal, I think, for however slim their hopes may be of bolstering an at-large NCAA tournament resume. This next week and a half is huge.
If I do my math correctly here very quickly, if they win those 3 games, they would be 500 in quad 1 and quad 2. And that goes a long way.
Yes, definitely. It certainly balances the scales much more in your favor. They're 2-3 in quad 1 and 2 right now. So let's say they go 3-0, then they'd be 5-3 in quad 1 and 2 games, and be 1-1 in quad 1.
Quad
so
1. Yeah. That would go a long way. Good
Yeah.
stuff, my friend. Thank you as always. Happy New Year to you and your family. And next week when we talk, we'll actually have a game to talk about.
Yes, I can't wait.
Let's hope.
Let's hope.
Thanks,
Thank you, Jason.
That's a good point. Let's hope. Thank you.
You got it.
We appreciate it. I'll let you know this portion of the show is brought to you by Homer, Skelton Hyundai, and Genesis of Olive Branch. And out of 355 Genesis dealers across the country, in the top 50 in the country is Genesis of Olive Branch, right there at Craft Road and Highway 78. Top 10 when it comes to the region. Top 2 when it comes to the district. And they want to be number 1. So they're just going to continue with this great product to have unbelievable service and to offer you the best financial opportunities that are out there. I keep talking about that SUV from Genesis, the GV80. They cannot seem to keep in stock. However, they do have a demo. And the way that Vinny Gerard is working things at Genesis of Olive Branch, it's all about service. They will actually bring that car to you. If you call him directly, 662-890-6684. That's his direct number at Genesis of Olive Branch. Vinny Gerard, 662-890-6684. If you were to call him, he would actually bring that demo out to you to test drive, to take a look. And then you can order. And they still have plenty of new 2021 G70s, G80s, G90s, and on the 70, by the way, only on the 70, there are some 0% financing options that are out there. You got to call Vinny, and you got to come see why I keep saying they raise the bar all the time. This is the way car business should be done, the way they're doing it at Genesis of Olive Branch and Homer Skelton Hyundai. Back in just 1 minute. Talk a little Grizzlies when we come back. This is Sports Time on Sports 56.
Sports 56 mornings with Peter Edmiston and Anthony Zane. Weekday mornings from 7 till 10 on Sports 56, 98.5 and 96.1.
Farmers Insurance knows that there's a not-so-subtle difference between the sound of a car hitting your rear bumper and the sound of a clown car hitting your rear bumper.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Sorry about that.
We call that a 3-ring fender bender, and we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent.
They know a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Hey, I heard that you just got a new car.
Yes, I sure did, and I could not believe how simple it was.
Really? Tell me what happened.
I bought my car at Cars Inc. They are family owned, and the choices of cars were the best I've ever seen. They even said they could price match with anyone and help me with whatever financing I needed.
Wow, it does sound like they know what they are doing.
Their family has been in the car business for over 30 years, and they're excited about being in Memphis.
Where are they?
5095 Cummington Way, and their phone number is 901-623-7180.
Looking for fine jewelry for that special occasion? Look no further than James Gaddis Jewelers. Hi, this is Jay Gaddis, and for over 60 years, my family has been here for Memphians on every occasion. Specializing in engagement, bridal, and custom design, we are here to make your dreams come true. Depend on us for birthdays, anniversaries, Valentine's, or any day in need of a smile. We have an extensive selection of gemstone, diamond, and pearl jewelry, watches, and designer pieces. Shop local at Poplar near Mendenhall in the heart of East Memphis. James Gaddis Jewelers, your family's jeweler.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
We are Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM, 98.5 FM, and 96.1 FM. As well as online around the world at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere on your phone or tablet by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, tell Google or Alexa to play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
We do have basketball, as you mentioned, at FedEx Forum. Not for the Tigers until next Thursday, but tonight, back-to-back games at FedEx Forum. And that will be the Grizzlies looking to win for the first time at home since this new season began, up against the Brooklyn Nets. I know I'm looking forward to not only the Tigers next Thursday and watching this game tonight, but I'm looking forward to our lunch with Drew and with Russell Copeland a little bit later in the year when it warms up a little bit more and we can safely social distance at the commissary that will be on you, my friend.
And we'll be there soon. And this weekend, if you want to warm up, you can at the commissary, 754-5540, online at commissarybarbecue.com. They bring it all out to you, safe, contactless, everything with the heightened sense of safety and protocol that we have to have these days inside. You know the spacing limitations, and you know what it's like, whether you want to go to the new Collierville Commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown. You go in or you order out, it's still that great food that you've come to know and love since the early 80s from Walker Taylor and his staff at the commissary. Memphis-style barbecue and ribs, delicious, authentic, slow. That makes it Memphis-style. Begin that barbecue feast with some great appetizers like the cheese plate or the tamales, then dig into the ribs or the shoulder, get it chopped or pulled on a sandwich, a big sandwich, or get it on the plate. Get it to go this weekend. Watch all these games. Have fun on this cold weekend, staying in as we kind of are having to do. And you can do it all by ordering through the commissary at commissarybarbecue.com or calling them at 754-5540 and save room for dessert. We will when we go. We always say that and hardly ever do, but we'll try our best when we do make it out with the best lemon icebox pie, I think, anywhere, the great banana pudding. And our guest at 5 o'clock, Andy Schiffman, can attest. We went out there this summer and had a feast. You can have your feast there. You can pick it up from there. You can order it there at commissarybarbecue.com.
So last night, the Grizzlies had a lead of 5 after the first quarter, and they led after the third quarter and got outscored 27-21 in the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter has been a bugaboo for Memphis. They turned the ball over a bunch. They did not play great defense inside. Drummond kind of beat them up a little bit at the inside the paint. I don't have the total paint points as I look at this box score. But, Valanciunas, again, had a double-double, which that happens every single game. Now, his defense wasn't the very best, to be totally honest with you. They couldn't stop Nance.
It wasn't.
And they couldn't stop Drummond.
And Valanciunas last night was, like we talked about yesterday, look, 7-foot, NBA capable player. Somebody's got to get some points and rebounds. He did. It just wasn't enough, and it didn't seem like it mattered. And it's at some point the Grizzlies will really have to weigh: do you rush Ja back? You get Jaren healthy. You get Justice Winslow. Why would you ever rush anybody back and even make a push or risk more injury? It's Nowheresville this year.
So here we go.
And that's okay. Nobody cares.
We got the great debate. We really do, and we've talked about it a little bit already. It's going to keep popping up, especially if the Grizzlies keep losing. They're 2-6 now. I wondered why they were the favorites yesterday. With Brooklyn without KD and without Kyrie, and with the Grizzlies looking for their first win at home, it's surprising to me. Again, another line that I don't quite get, but it is the Nets that are favored by 2.5, and I kind of like the Grizzlies in this situation. Both teams are playing second game back-to-backs, and actually the Nets have played well, even without KD and without Kyrie. But, I think Memphis is finally due to win a game at home. But I'm with you. This conversation will continue if the Grizzlies continue to flounder.
Oh, it's only going to heat up.
Will it be – is it worth tanking? And the thing that strikes me is there's never been a better year to tank than this, because no one's in the ballpark other than your 74 floor seat holders and family of coaches and players. That's it. And so it's pretty evident to me that you could get away with the tank this year if you wanted to. Personally, as a guy who watches all the games, I want to see teams win. For me, it'll be a bummer to sit there and watch them lose every single night. I don't know what that'll do to the TV ratings. I don't know if it really matters. So it is true that if there's the 1 year that you won't make that many people mad who paid money to sit in the stands to watch you, you wouldn't have to worry about those folks. But
yeah, this is the one. You're not alienating anybody, I guess, except for that healthy 72 or so, 74 that's sitting ringside. Right. But, yeah, this is the year to do it. But at some point when we get crowds back, at some point when you get Winslow finally healthy, Jaren, at some point, Jaren, you need to play about 76 NBA games. You get well. Add Cade Cunningham if that's the dream choice. They can't really preach patience past about another year or two, because then contracts come up, and whether Winslow can or can't will have been proved out one way or the other.
Well, you and I, have sort of had this debate about criticism on the Grizzlies as compared to criticism on the Memphis Tigers. And the fine columnist from the Commercial Appeal, Mark Giannotto, had a column basically about this. And, one of his points, and I think it's a fair point, is that part of the reason you heap on the Tigers when they lose is because the Tigers are only playing 27 games this year. They're only playing 20 that are in conference, and you've got to win those now because you're trying to make the NCAA tournament. We base everything on that.
Everything's magnified.
Whereas the Grizzlies are hoping to be one of 10 teams now that are in the mix in their conference for the playoffs. And so a loss, especially in the beginning of January, doesn't mean that much. So they don't get it.
It's not as much the winning and losing criticism that I find unfair. It's the Boogie Ellis just gets pounded, and he's young. I know, he'll get them in a few years.
Or, how about Dylan Brooks? Because there are some people that say guys like Boogie or Landers Nolly, for that matter, they're selfish guys. They're not even thinking about passing. They'll shoot the ball every time they want to. And yet Dylan Brooks, who's no longer a rookie.
Not even close.
Dylan Brooks, who just signed a deal last year.
Shot and misser extraordinaire. I mean, he never met a shot.
He's a volume guy,
misser.
Right? He's
a volume misser.
And nobody is taking shots at him. And and I'll tell you right now, that wouldn't happen in Philly. That wouldn't happen in L.A. That wouldn't happen in Chicago. That wouldn't happen in New York.
It wouldn't happen with Lester Quinones. It doesn't happen with Lester Quinones.
I don't think that can last. I really don't. And I
it's been a while now.
I know some people think, folks don't take on the Grizzlies too much because they're afraid they're going to move to Seattle or they're going to move to Vegas or something of that nature. I don't think that's going to happen, especially if the NBA is really going to expand. Then all that stuff goes out the window. But I'm not certain why. I think part of it is the amount of games and the amount of meaningless games that take place. Whereas in college basketball, there are not that many meaningless games. And if you,
I think the Grizzlies have a lot of the media in their hip pocket.
Well, maybe that is the case too. But it is interesting, and it bears worth watching a little bit more closely as the year goes on. Joe has been very patient on the First Bank phone line. Joe wants to talk some college basketball, so on this freezing Friday, we'll accommodate. Joe, it's your turn with Wallow and Stats. Good afternoon.
Hey, guys. Hey, Dave. Hey, Stats. Y'all really immersed yourself pretty deep in what I was calling to talk about with Munns. You started talking about the net and the tourney and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we need to preface this with the tourney committee. They're obviously doing the best they can. I think at times they are inconsistent. I mean, you've been around the Tigers for years, Dave. The team with Chris Massey as a senior, Earl Barron, John Bryce, that team was projected to be, I believe, about a 5 seed before the eve of the tourney.
Right.
They ended up getting slotted as a 7
Yep.
and facing Arizona State and Oklahoma City. That team should not have been a 7. Then you have the 2013 team.
And they should have won that game, by the way.
Right. And Chris Massey, pound for pound, the size he was against the quality of athlete he was going, and the CUSA then they had 4 to 5 tournament teams every year. One of the best post players in college basketball. He was 6'6".
He really did have some low post moves.
As well. Yeah. And then,
and he was so much older than the rest of them, Joe.
That's true, too. And then there's the Pastner team where that particular committee was emphasizing road wins, which we had against a weakened CUSA. We shouldn't have been as high as a 6 seed, the team that beat St. Mary's, and then lost to Michigan State. So that's just a little background.
Well,
obviously, they do the best they can.
That could be true, but I got to point out to you, that Michigan State game, that was boys against men. That game was not a close basketball game.
It wasn't. But the committee's inconsistent. They've tried the RPI, then they adjusted the RPI quantitatively, where a road win was worth 1.4 wins and a home win's worth 0.6. And now what I want to talk about is the net. Right now they have it where a quad 1 win would put you in that column as 1 through 30 at home, 1 through 50 neutral, 1 through 75 away. So if you beat the 75th team on the road and beat the first team at home, quantitatively, they're both in that column. And the committee tends, to a fault, to give more preference to quantity. So if you're 4-7 against Q1 versus 2-3 against Q1, which is probably a mid-major, they tend to give the nod to the 4-7 because, you had more wins, when in reality the percentage favors the other team. So my question for you guys, because you're in the business, you've been doing it a while, this year, do you think they should make a provision where home and away either don't count as much or don't count at all? Because, like you mentioned, I mean, last night, Wisconsin, I happened to have a parlay, because, of course, that's legal now. Right. Wisconsin and Indiana were in the Kohl Center. It said
you don't have to explain yourself, Joe.
Yeah.
I watched some of that game, and that goes to double overtime. And then I take it Wisconsin covered after that, right?
They did.
Yeah, got there by 7.
It said Indiana had never won in the Kohl Center in 22 years, and then no fans. Look what happened. So I'm saying, do you guys think they should make a special 2020-21 provision to get rid of the whole home and away thing, to give, like, if the Tigers are playing, you mentioned East Carolina, I don't know where they stand, but you go in there, Minges actually can get pretty hectic, pretty crazy when you get 3,000-4,000 in there.
Yeah,
but if you're going in there, it's empty. It's not the same environment. So should you get the same reward? What do you guys think?
We just mentioned there's only 2 places in the American Athletic Conference. I don't know if you heard that part. There's only 2 schools, and Minges and East Carolina is one of the 2 schools, along with Houston. Here's what I think. I'm with you. I would devalue home and road losses or wins.
Right.
I would put them all the same. I know there's a lot of different facets, and we should do a show, and maybe we'll try to get somebody that is a stat guy that understands the net compared to what we had with RPI and other forms of metrics. But maybe if that seems more palatable, they should go closer to the way the net is structured and do away with value on home and road wins and losses because they are so much more equal. And I think this year, and I've said it already, I think this will be the most subjective year ever. And it's because you got to get 68 teams in, and they want to make it as big as they possibly can. So this is going to be a little like the way the college football playoff setup was. Brand names are going to get priority.
Their buddies. Subjectivity is going to be dollars and cents.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you taking the call.
Anytime, my
friend.
Hey,
Joe. Thank you.
Happy New Year. Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is going to be the kind of year, and who's going to be able to argue that the brand names are going to get the benefit of the doubt because the metrics are skewed because we don't really know the value of home and away.
After we get through the Super Bowl, we'll start our regular run with Shelby Mass from Bracket Wag, and he's the official bracketologist for our USA Today, and we're going to start with him. And Shelby had a very serious stroke last summer. I'm glad he's
I did
back
not know that.
100%. Yeah, and I thought you may have been away when we talked about it. But anyway, so how good's Vegas on setting these point spreads? Remember yesterday what I told you the Gonzaga BYU point spread was? Do you remember? You guessed 11.
It was 17.
Guess, you know what the final score was?
17.
86-69. That's 17.
Isn't that something? I did
How
tell
good
you.
Are they?
I did
How
tell you.
good are they?
I said to you last night. I didn't understand that line with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Remember, I said that. No.
You'll never go broke short selling Vegas, will you?
No. I will tell you this. I'm going to give you another bit of advice. Try Tiger Tail from Grind City Brewing. This is the company that's taking care of beerness in Memphis with their new tap room and everything that they have in Uptown. You can go over there. You've got to try some of their incredible beers. This is the dream of a father and son duo. And my goodness, they are really like they say, they're taking care of beerness. Their tap room is 5,000 square feet. The brewery's 15,000 square feet in Uptown. And they became partners with the Tigers because they're all about everything Memphis. So they have created a malt liquor. No, it's not like any other malt liquor you have ever tried. I can guarantee you that. It's called Tiger Tail. It is the official craft beer of the University of Memphis. This is a unique partnership. I don't think I've ever seen an official craft beer for a university, but they are groundbreaking at Grind City Brewing. And this malt liquor is outstanding. It comes in 16-ounce six-packs. It is not anything like any other malt liquor you've ever tried. It is crafted with bold and smooth flavor. It has 7.5% alcohol content. That's pretty good. You'll get the buzz. And then it's got this clean finish that makes it absolutely incredibly easy drinking. So they said, well, you got to try one. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the whole situation there. Please go take a look at Tiger Tail and Grind City Brewing because they are taking care of beerness in Memphis. We're back with a wrap of hour number 2 in a minute. Man, this day's flying by on Sports Time on Sports 56.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through lunch daily from 10 to 1.
Well, lunch is served.
Only on Sports 56, 98.5 FM and 96.1 FM.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies. We will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Five-Ash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five-Ash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Do not wait for summer. Get your pool now during the early bird pool sale at Family Leisure. Through February the 7th, you can reserve your installation spot on your new pool purchase from Family Leisure. You know the price is like the temperature. They'll go up when it gets warmer, so you must reserve yours now. Family Leisure has hundreds of spas on order, so reserve yours now. The early bird pool sales happening now at Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
It's free furnace time. Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. Are you considering replacing your air conditioning system this spring? January is one of our slowest months of the year. Our warehouse is full and our crews are slow. So to spark business during these cold winter months, Conway Services is giving away Carrier 80% gas furnaces absolutely free with the purchase of a standard Carrier air conditioning system. That's right, purchase a Carrier air conditioning system in the month of January and get a gas furnace absolutely free. If that's not enough, we'll include an April air cleaner, a 10-year parts warranty, and a free Nest thermostat. That's up to $2,000 in savings. Plus, get your new system for as low as $139 per month or 12 months interest free. Now, you can do that. And you know with Conway Services, you'll be receiving our award-winning service every time. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company at 384-3511. And the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old system will come out and inspect it absolutely free.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch live video of all our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. Don't miss out on anything. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1 on social media. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Ocean and Brett Norsworthy.
My world was strapped against my back.
We mentioned a little earlier the Memphis women's basketball game that was supposed to take place this coming Wednesday, I believe it was against Wichita State, canceled because the Shockers have some COVID issues. That'll be the fourth game. Boston's entire front court out against Washington because of COVID. So, man, we've got to be fluid. I am so glad the Tigers made up one of the games. I meant to ask to Jason Munz if he thinks they'll be able to make up that Temple game. If you look at their schedule, Brett, it gets so tight in
Monday night
at the end of the month. It's hard.
College football national championship games ago. Both teams have cleared everything, and both are bound for Florida. One arriving about 5 o'clock Central Time, and about the other team arriving about 6. So Monday night is a go. I don't know if there's another round of testing after they get there.
I bet there is.
It doesn't sound like it.
Well, yeah. So what I read was tonight Alabama comes in, and Ohio State wasn't coming in until tomorrow night.
I saw Bill Hancock say both are going to be there tonight.
Huh.
And the game's on, everything's set. It'll be decided Monday night. Right now, Dave, are you going to take a vow of no matter what, no asterisk if Ohio State wins Monday night?
No.
Didn't play enough games?
No
asterisk for me either. I mean, I know I know who they played, and I know how infrequently they played, but I also know if you beat Clemson, you beat Ohio State, or you beat Clemson and Alabama, Ohio State, they're going to be the champ, and I will recognize it. No asterisk.
For me, once you pick the four teams and they played in the semifinals, and then they proved their worth to get the right to fight for the national championship. There's only one school, I think, at this point that you could make an argument that should have been in, and that's A&M. And A&M did get pretty well tattooed by Alabama. So
get smoked.
You know, I didn't have any asterisk for any game. You know, I've heard some folks say like Miami, and we heard Keith Smith, who's about as objective and neutral as anybody in sports. He covers the NBA for Yahoo. He's with us every week. And, you know, he said there are a lot of people that think that Miami had a lot of success because they were built for a team that should be in the bubble. I don't know if that's a fair thing to say or not. We'll find out how the whole season plays out because things are always different in the NBA when it's playoff games as opposed to regular season games. So I don't know
That's
if
right.
I buy that.
Keep eye on Spoelstra as the year goes along.
And
but I think, and we'll talk a lot about it on Monday, but I think Monday night's going to mostly be an offensive game in which defense can get some stops. I'll say it again Monday. Here's my box score nugget when the game's over. Who punted the least? Fewest punts win.
Well, that could be. I think it's going to come down to, can Al Sermon be as effective as he was in the game against Clemson? Can Najee Harris be as effective as he was against Notre Dame? I think let's start with the running game, because usually that's the product of which offensive line is going to be the more effective one.
Mm-hmm. And that Bama offensive line, it may be its best, and I didn't think anything would top Barrett Jones's grouping that beat Notre Dame, but this one's right there with it.
That whole offense. 7 of those awards last night. That's out of 14. That's half of college football's awards went to the offensive side of the football at Alabama. That says something to me. This portion of the show brought to you by Supercuts. Supercuts still open for business. Supercuts, 15 locations in the Memphis area. It's still very aware that we have COVID numbers, that you have to have spacing. Social distancing is important. That's why they came up with the Safe Salon commitment. It is still a commitment that they are committed to. This is a partnership with top infectious disease doctors to basically lay out a plan to maximize safety and sanitization in all of the Supercut salons throughout the country. But, of course, it was adopted by the Czech family, and they are the ones that own all 15 locations here. You want to learn more about that Safe Salon commitment, or you want to find out which Supercuts is closest to you, go to supercuts.com. They are still going strong and open for business. That's Supercuts. We're back in a minute, hour number 3, and we bring back our old friend, our agent in Chicago. That is Andy Schiffman. He comes your way next on Sports Time.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
2021 is finally here. Might I suggest we start the wonderful new year with a makeover for your beautiful house. I'm Brian Elder. I'm a roofer. I fix roofs. Don't let them tell you that it has to be replaced when all it may need is some love. 867-0303. Let me love on your roof. I've made quite the reputation over the last decade as the guy to call after the insurance company denies the claim. Overturning a claim that has gone bad is an art form where you argue county code, manufacturer specs, and details of your policy that they have to abide by. So let me see it first. If I say it's a claim, it's a claim. 867-0303. Money is free at Brian Elder Roofing with 0% financing for half a decade. I'll measure your roof from outer space and get you a quote right over the phone. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Kevin Harlan here from Westwood One. Join us for Super Wild Card Weekend. Saturday, it's the Colts at Buffalo. The Rams visit Seattle. And Washington will host Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then on Sunday, Derrick Henry and the Titans host Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. The Bears are in New Orleans. And the Browns are at Pittsburgh. If it's the NFL playoffs, it's right here.
Catch the NFL playoffs on Sports 56, 96.1 and 98.5.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis. Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches: 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper, 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase, and 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Final hour of this first full week of 2021. We're going to start it with Andy Schiffman talking NBA, and we can't wait. But I want to tell you about DeSoto Auto Sales, the title sponsor of this hour, before we get to NBA conversation with Andy. They're down at 5704 Goodman Road down in DeSoto County. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience that they love to show everyone, and they're very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area. And they want you to look at all those beautiful cars they have, all of them checked out from bumper to bumper. Unlimited inventory, every make, every model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you at DeSoto Auto Sales. Go online and check out the happy referrals and look at the beautiful cars at DeSotoAutoSales.com. They want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. You will at DeSoto Auto Sales, because they know we're living in a world today that time matters, and that's why you walk in within 45 minutes, test drive your car, get credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're gone in time to do it over your busy lunch hour, or like right now, right after work, before the weekend begins, at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales.
We welcome you back in hour number 3 on a very cold day in Memphis. I can't imagine how cold it is in Chicago. That is where our agent Andy Schiffman will rejoin us for the first time this year. Happy New Year to you, my friend. Good to have you back to talk NBA and the agent perspective of all of that. How freezing is it in Chicago today?
Well, Happy New Year to you all, and glad to be back for another season. Look, it has not been that bad. I actually drove around yesterday with my window down a little bit. It was about 40 degrees yesterday.
Wow.
Today it's about mid-30s, a little gray. Missed some snow over New Year's when I was home. But other than that, no complaints. Just been working from home, working from the office here and there, just watching a lot of basketball, which makes me very happy this time of year.
I'm glad we got it back, Andy. I'm glad you're staying warm, and I'm glad we've got basketball back. It's different. It's different than the bubble. The bubble was one-of-a-kind experience, but I'm glad we've got it back, and maybe not by the end of this year, but before the 21-22 season, we can get back to the word we're all striving for, normal.
Let's hope so. It's slow moving at this rate. We don't know yet what's going to happen. We don't know yet a schedule for the end of this season and what next off season is going to look like in terms of draft, free agency, etc. But to your point, with everything going on, sit at home now and be able to flip through and watch anywhere between 4 and 5 games, whether it's college or the NBA every night, I couldn't be happier. I mean, last night I stayed up, was watching the end of this great Dallas-Denver game. I watched the Grizzlies-Cleveland game. So it's my nightly routine, and I'm loving every second of it. They've definitely been great games to watch, and I think the one thing that fans have noticed is the short turnaround leads to a lot of injuries, and there's a lot of guys, unfortunately, out with an injury bug. Some good teams starting off now already getting bitten by that. Obviously, you have players here and there popping up, testing positive, other players needing to isolate because they may have been exposed through contact tracing, what have you. And look, I said this from the beginning, right? I think you saw that outside of the bubble format in baseball and football last season, and even hockey. And those sports, while they did incur a lot of positive COVID tests and a lot of postponed games, which we have not yet had to have in the NBA, they all finished their season. So I am very optimistic and confident that we will finish this season. It's more of a marathon, not a sprint, though.
You watched last night when you're mentioning Grizzlies already have had a hardship exemption. Cleveland had a whole bunch of people out last night. So you watched that game, and you watched your guy, Brandon Clark, have his best game this year. There have been some people who've speculated that he changed his shot. The dude was unbelievable within 8 feet of the bucket last year, and he has not been reliable in that same distance this year until last night. I even watched him miss one where he was 6 feet away and just grazed the front iron. What's going on with Brandon Clark, your guy?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. He worked really hard on his shot, and there's 2 individuals on the Grizzlies coaching staff that worked closely with him over the summer and the off season and the fall with his shot. And when I say work with him on his shot, it's to get that ball up and get a higher release. Because if you remember Brandon as a rookie last year coming out of Gonzaga, I saw it every single day in the gym here in Chicago when he was training for the draft and all those workouts. He was very, very efficient from 3, but at roughly 6'7" to 6'8" on the perimeter, it benefits someone in his position to get a high release, because if there are taller 4 men out there guarding him, it's going to be sometimes difficult to get a shot off. Now, Brandon has some legs on him, as you know. He's very athletic. He's got some great hops and bounce that can get him up there a little bit. But the staff really wanted him to get a higher release. So that's what you've seen. Now, he's shooting fewer threes at this point in the year. I mean, right now, he's really, I don't think he hasn't made more than 1 in a game, and he's done that, I believe, 3 different times, and didn't take a 3 last night. But they're using him in a way that really benefits his interior game, shows off his athleticism. But look, it is a little bit funky looking to those watching the Grizzlies. It's almost a one-handed release when he really gets it up there. But he said it's very comfortable to him. It feels very natural. And so I think as the season goes on, they're going to rely on him more and more they want him to shoot more threes and get more reps up so it can continue to be more and more comfortable and get those percentages up. But last night he was very energetic all over the floor, had some great defensive stops against Drummond, had some big-time rebounds, ran the floor well, put it on the deck, finished. And they're going to need that from him in these coming games, especially on this current slide they're in with Ja Morant out, with Jaren Jackson out. They really need him to step up for sure.
Andy, who is someone that our listeners that we'd be familiar with that had the shot approach change, the mechanics change, the I won't say overhaul, but certainly kicked some tires and came out of it all the better for it?
I mean, absolutely. I think you can look at the dominant name in all this, Kawhi Leonard. He was shooting the ball nowhere near in San Diego State when he was in college what he did in the NBA, and he worked very, very hard on it as a young NBA player. The San Antonio staff and Toronto as well, but mostly San Antonio, where he started his career, worked hand in hand with Kawhi and really got his shot to the point where it is now, where he is absolutely a huge, huge threat from 3, and that was not always the case. I mean, his rookie season, he actually shot 37% from 3, which is not bad by any means, but he was taking fewer than 2 attempts a game, and then all of a sudden, 3-4 years later, he's shooting north of 40%, more than doubling those shot attempts from deep per game. And so I think there's always this notion of trying to grade or evaluate a player when they're in college, looking at what they're doing and saying, hey, he can't shoot it from 3, that's not going to translate, he can't do this, he can't do that. People forget when these players enter the league, they're entering the league generally between the ages of 19 to 22, 23 years old, and then you talk about placing them in the right developmental program with professionals where this is their focus every single day. They don't have to worry about going to class. They don't have to worry about finals. Their job every single day is basketball, eating, sleeping, and breathing basketball and working on their bodies. They can devote an extraordinary amount of time to perfecting their craft, and you see the benefits of that in the long run in a player like Kawhi, and hopefully this will continue with Brandon as well.
Well, I hope so too, because I thought last year when it came to within 8 to 10 feet of the bucket, Brandon Clark was the most proficient guy on the team. I think even more proficient than Jonas Valanciunas. But he is struggling. I think maybe last night was a turning point for him. I hope it is because I love the kid. But he certainly does not appear to be as confident when he releases that shot.
Well, I think more reps will take care of that, Dave. I think the more comfortable he is taking multiple attempts a game, if he's in that position, obviously, the Grizzlies have given him the green light. He's shown he can shoot the ball from deep from last season. So I just think, look, we're only a handful of games into the season. They've played 8 games. We're talking about a 72-game season. Over time, I would like to imagine he's going to continue to shoot the ball more and more, get more and more comfortable. And then, look, as he does become more of a threat from three, teams are going to try and run him off the line, which is very dangerous for a player like Brandon Clark with his athleticism. He can get to the rim in one dribble.
He'll go around him. Yeah, he'll be right at the rack for a big dunk, and he is a great dunker, great leaper. Andy, what did the shot doctor say for the muscle memory to really have this down? How many shots? How long? How many months, years? How long to perfect this or
sure,
correct
well, it's all
it?
about. I use the word reps, and that's short, obviously, for repetition. That's what it all is. You hit the nail on the head too. It's all about muscle memory. And if you're in the gym taking 500 threes, whether it's 500 to 1,000 threes, literally every single day after a practice, because keep in mind during the season, these NBA teams aren't practicing like they are in preseason or like you might practice in college when you're really in the gym for a 2 to 3 hour practice every single day, with the exception of game days. In the NBA, there's so much credence paid to rest and recovery that these teams do not want to wear out their rotational players, especially going into a season like this with a shortened off season, and there's an extremely high amount of games, a lot of back-to-back games these teams are playing. And so it's on the players, and Brandon does a great job of this, getting in the gym themselves to just get those shots up, repetition over and over and over.
The Grizzlies have been competitive in almost every game, but they have played poorly in the fourth quarter in both games against the Lakers and then last night, too, against the Cavaliers. Is this strictly because there's no Ja, no Jaren, no Winslow, or are there other concerns?
Well, I for sure think, look, you're talking about a team that had a lot of success last year, and obviously in the bubble with Jaren going down, they missed the playoffs. But think about this. A lot of the success they had last year did start with Ja Morant, and all of these guys on the Grizzlies, Valanciunas, Brandon, Grayson Allen, Dylan, Kyle, they're all used to playing with a player like Ja Morant. And finding a player like Ja Morant with that quickness, speed, athleticism, ability to get to his spots and find you is very rare. So when all of a sudden you have a backcourt that is different from that and you're playing with different players out there, there is some adjustment. A lot of these players may not have played. Tyus Jones might not have played with all these guys on a continuous basis throughout the season last year. And so you almost have to adjust on the fly, and there is a little bit of a transition period. And so, look, I do think it starts with Ja. I think he's your floor general. He's your facilitator. There's a continuity to be had there. Obviously, Jaren going down does not help things. You saw how that affected the team last year, even in the bubble, or rather at the end of the season restart before the playoffs in the bubble. So I think that has a lot to do with it for sure. But, look, this is a very long season. They have a lot of games left. Hopefully, Ja is back by February. Hopefully, one of our guys that we represent, Xavier Tillman, can step in and continue to contribute a little bit more. My guy, Killian Tilly, who was taken on a two-way, he's an elite-level perimeter threat as a big. And once he gets healthy, which hopefully will be in the coming weeks, he can come in and step in and help these guys knock down shots and rebound and defend. So I think for sure there's reason to be optimistic if you're a Grizzlies fan, but it's hard to think that way when all of a sudden you're losing home games to Cleveland.
Well, people aren't thinking that way. They're thinking the other way, like maybe we should tank. So let me ask you this. How good, and most people think it's good, how good is next year's draft?
Well, look, it's very, very good. I think it's going to be better than this year's draft. I don't think it's going to come anywhere close, obviously, to last year's draft with Zion and R.J. Barrett and those guys. But, look, you're talking about 8 games in.
Ja.
Like, I understand they shaved 10 games off, but don't sit there and start using the word tank here when you've got over 60 games left in the NBA season. I think this is going to be a different team when Ja is back. I mean, right now they're 27th in the league in scoring, but you're talking about a player in Ja Morant that's going to give you anywhere between 20 and 30 points generally on any given night. And also, with his usage rate, be accountable for another 15 to 30 points at least. So there's, like I said, I would definitely pump the brakes on the whole tank talk. But to your point, next year's draft is going to be very good.
Who is the college coach, Andy, who would you characterize as he has his players most NBA ready than any other?
Well, I think the easy answer, given how well they're playing this year, is Gonzaga. But I have reason to say that. I don't want to take the easy way out, but there's a reason I say that, and the reason is Corey Kispert. Corey Kispert last year tested the waters and probably could have come out of Gonzaga and been drafted somewhere in the second round, maybe even like on a two-way towards the end of the second round. But he decided to go back to school for his senior year. And you look at what he's doing. I'm not sure if you watched the BYU Gonzaga game last night or any of these Gonzaga games. He is the leader of that team. He's got great size. He's shooting it tremendously from deep. He can put the ball on the floor. He's athletic. He can defend multiple positions. He's the vocal leader of that team. He's doing everything he can that absolutely will translate right away to an NBA roster, to an NBA team. This is a player, and a lot of times there's this notion of, well, older guys aren't really going to be drafted high because you kind of peak. This is a player that if I'm a team drafting in the lottery next year, I am all over a player like that because he's that talented, and you can use that on your team right away. And so I think for sure what Mark Few and that staff have been able to do with a player like Corey Kispert, it's rare, but you talk about a player who is a senior that is improved immensely from last year to this year and now is able to take all these tools and insert them into an NBA lineup and be just as effective, in my opinion. So, look, I think for sure Few is one of them. He seems like generally every single year he's got players in the draft that have a lot of success. Zach Collins, obviously Brandon. He's got the number one point guard in the NCAA this year, and Jalen Suggs, who's going to be a top 3 or 4 pick. He's tremendous. He's very good. But then, look, there for sure are these other coaches. You can sit there and say Calipari. I don't think he's going to have any top picks this year. Obviously, Kentucky's struggling. UNC is a little bit down this year. I think, Texas is going to have a lot of top prospects. I think Baylor's going to have some good players. West Virginia, in terms of defense, they're going to have some prospects to look at, guys that can step in right away and help. But for my money, I would still say it's Gonzaga and Coach Few.
Explain this to me, and I know that NBA is like the commodity market, it's futures. I am amazed at the mock draft disrespect for Luke Garza. I know he's not the greatest jumper in the world, but what I see is an incredibly fundamental, smart, hardworking, strong guy. Are you convinced he can't play in the NBA?
Put it this way, David. It's funny you bring that up. So I'm not convinced he can't play in the NBA. For me right now, I would be hard-pressed to think he's going to have a sustainable NBA career long-term. Now, if this was 6 or 7 years ago in the NBA, probably even more than that, when every team needed a guy, a big body like that, to be a monster on the glass, have a number of counter moves around the glass, and just be efficient around the glass and in the paint in terms of rim protection and rebounding, then, yeah, I absolutely think he would have a long, sustainable NBA career. But to your point,
but that's over.
Southern guy, he does not, me personally, I don't think he really is athletic enough or moves as today's NBA bigs move. Obviously, you look at him, I think he's a staple down low. I think a lot of his points are obviously in the paint with his back to the basket. And I just think he lacks the athleticism that you might find in today's NBA bigs. I do think with his productivity level, when you get into the second round and that maybe picks 40 to 60, I absolutely think a team could take a flyer on him and draft him, because you look at players like that, 4-year guys coming from a school like Iowa that's had success, you look at it and say, look, if we've got pick 47 or pick 54, it's low risk, high reward. Why wouldn't we take someone that has been that productive, averaging almost 30 points a game, on north of 60% shooting, can shoot the three? Like, why wouldn't you take that and just see what we can have and see how that translates to the NBA? I think, given the lack of athleticism and how, the movement I'm talking about, I think sometimes, more often than not, NBA bigs will get the best of them, and I think he could be a tremendous player in Europe and in EuroLeague 2 to 3 years down the road. And I've seen that before with players of his characteristics, let's say, and I absolutely think you can get that in Luka Garza. I just don't see him sticking in the NBA long term, primarily because the way today's game flows.
Andy, I love watching him play, and if Iowa finally got their long-awaited national championship, because it's basketball country, it's football and basketball school, but when I watch him play, I kind of think about Notre Dame this year in college football. They would have been a great team around 1990.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's not to say he's not efficient or productive enough to be an NBA player, but you always have to remember there are 60 guys in the draft, and yeah, and in 2000, I believe the 2022 draft, there'll be 59 with the Bucks losing that pick. But call it 60 guys in the draft, okay, 30 in each round. Then you talk about another, these days it seems like anywhere close to 10 or more international players that people here just aren't watching on a nightly basis in college basketball. Then you talk about the way things go historically the last couple of years, and this year was no different. Generally, the last 15 picks in the draft, for the most part, not every team, but for the most part, due to a lack of roster spots or a lack of cap flexibility and money to spend on those second-round picks, those players a lot of times are signed to two-way contracts or drafted to go overseas for a year, and every now and then they're drafted to go straight to the G League and try and earn a contract the following year. Oklahoma City's done that a couple of times. So if you talk about players that are going to be drafted to have a legitimate NBA opportunity on an NBA contract, not even a two-way contract, realistically, you're talking maybe 40 at the most, depending on any given year, give or take 3 or 4. And so, again, it's not to say Luka Garza may not be good enough. It's just, does he fit well enough to be one of those few players drafted and really given an opportunity to contribute right as a rookie?
Last thing for our agent, that's Andy Schiffman, a regular guest with us, second year in a row. We're happy to have him. And that's...
I'm a veteran now.
What do you think? You're no longer a rookie. You don't have to carry our bags next time you're here.
That's right.
What do you think is the deal with Kyrie Irving?
If I had the answer to that, wow. I mean, this is every year. And
yeah,
a lot of teams in the NBA just will throw their hands up in the air if this is what they're getting from a player. But Kyrie is Kyrie Irving. He is one of the top players in the NBA. He's one of the top point guards in the NBA. And so while it might seem as a distraction around the league, and he gets a lot of gruff on social media, and there's a lot of negativity about his perception around the league, the guy can roll out of bed and get you 25 and 10 assists just like that and impact winning. And now, surprisingly, Brooklyn got a huge win last night without KD or Kyrie, and obviously Brooklyn's in here tonight Brooklyn's in Memphis to play the Grizzlies. And so what is the deal with Kyrie? I do not know. It's just a certain personality that he's going to do things his way, and I can't fault that. And he's good enough to have some longer leash where teams will allow that to happen for the most part.
All right. Not a great player, but not exactly a great teammate, I guess, is the best way I would sum that up. Andy, great to have you back. Can't wait to do it again next Friday.
Look forward to it. Have a good weekend.
You too. That is Andy Schiffman, our agent in Chicago.
He's in Chicago where it's cool. It's cooler here. And let's start the weekend at Jason's Deli. Any of these great locations like Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova. Not too cold to wrap it up if you're in the restaurant with the complimentary ice cream. Dave, he has the lifetime pass on it. You can too at all the great locations for Jason's Deli. And here's a good plan for the weekend. Go in and order the sandwich, get it to go, everything's safe. They'll bring it out to you. Get it to go. Pick your meat, name your bread, select your spreads, and dress it up. All the meats, all the cheeses, all the breads, all the spreads, and those soups on this cold weekend. The fire-roasted tortilla, that already makes you a little warmer, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. The chicken pot pie, the tomato basil. I love the chili, Texas style. That means no beans. That's the way I want it. They have it that way. If you want the beans, get the Southwest chicken chili, all the salads, all the great food, the chicken salad, the nutty mixed up salad, the chicken Caesar salad, the taco salad, and then those sandwiches. The corned beef sandwich, among the best in town, if not the best, according to Dave. The Beef Eater, all the great food, all the great service, and all the great people, over 200 Memphis area associates at Jason's Deli at any of these locations, Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova. Don't forget the catering. Don't forget the salad bar. Don't forget the ice cream. And don't forget you can go online at jasonsdeli.com.
Some news coming out from Pete Thamel at Yahoo says Marcus Freeman is expected to be named the next defensive coordinator at Notre Dame. He chose the Irish over LSU, and I just found this out. Man, can I go back and become a coach? Per Steve Berkowitz, the money that LSU has come up with to get rid of Bo Pelini, the defensive coordinator.
Yeah. They got a printing machine, don't they?
$4 million. But wait, they actually had the option. They could have paid him off over time. They said, nah, we're not going to spread this thing out. They're going to pay him one lump sum.
Man, Dave, no kidding. And I still think, if you had the inside story this year, Orgeron and Pelini got nose to nose a time or two.
I guarantee it.
Somebody can come out of the bottom of that pile. You can come out of the bottom of that pile without an ear because both of them are nuts.
Yeah, but dig this. This is how much money LSU has, and maybe all the SEC teams have this kind of cash. I'm not sure though. But they could have spread that money out and pay him through March 31st of 2023. And they said, no, we're going to pay you by January 31st. He'll have a lump sum payment of $4 million. I guess after taxes, what is that going to be, about 2.4, something like that?
Yeah, about 30% is going to come out.
Yeah. Well, and then he's got to give at least 1%, maybe 2% to his agent, right?
Yeah.
Is Jimmy his agent?
I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. Well, I love it. LSU could have spread the payment out. They said, nah, we want you out of here. Here's $4 million. Get out of here. Unreal. This portion of the show is brought to you by my friends at Genesis of Olive Branch and, of course, Homer Skelton Hyundai. Same building, same great team. Been together, most of them, for 13 years. And this is how good they are. One of the new guys is Vinny Gerard. Now, he's not new to the marketplace, but he's sort of new. He's taken over the Genesis reins. He's right under my good friend Chris True. Out of 355 Genesis dealers across the country, here comes Genesis of Olive Branch, right there at Craft Road and Highway 78, in the top 50. Now, take the region, which takes in a great portion of the United States, top 10 in the region, in the district, number 2, but they want to be number 1. So you're going to find opportunities, an unbelievable product, and, of course, the great service that you won't find anywhere else like you will at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. Now, the GV80, that's the SUV that everybody's going crazy for. They keep getting them in, but they can't keep them on the lot. They keep selling out of the GV80. Now, they've kept one so that they can demo that car. They'll actually bring it to you. If you want to talk to Vinny Gerard and say, look, please, here's who I am. I'd like to really test drive. I'm serious about this car. They'll bring it to you. Just call Vinny at 662-890-6684. Again, that direct line, 662-890-6684. There are plenty of other opportunities with Genesis cars, including 2021 70s, 80s, and 90s. And that G70, in some instances, and only on the G70, there's 0% financing available. Please, if you really want to see what technology and unbelievable performance is all about, you got to check out a G car. And the best place to do that is to call my friends at Genesis of Olive Branch. Back in a minute. It is time in our never-ending quest to outdo one another and make sure you get all the right picks of the day. We sit down and forecast the triple header Saturday, the triple header Sunday, and the championship game Monday. Coming up in just a minute, it's the Friday Football Forecast.
Catch all the NFL playoff action all the way through to the Super Bowl right here on Sports 56, 96.1, and 98.5.
I love the real estate business. This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf Realtors. I've been selling real estate a long time. What I love is having people ask me how some houses sell so quickly and others sit. That's an easy answer. Any agent can sit and tell you what you want to hear. I tell you what you need to know. I give you options and alternatives. I'm a firm believer in preparation, presentation, and proper pricing. We discuss that and my unique Shellbucks option. Beating your competition down the street or around the corner is the name of the game. So if you or someone you know is thinking of selling, talk to 2 to 3 real estate agents and make sure that I am one of them. Find out why my strategic marketing program with the Shellbucks option can mean the difference in whether you sit or sell. You'll find out why people often say when you want the job done, call Shell Done. You can reach me at 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. That's Shell Done Rosengarten. 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com.
Whether you're a pro on the job site or managing properties, clean and safe is your #1 priority, and Lowe's has the pro-grade cleaning supplies you need. We go beyond the basics, bringing you commercial cleaning from top brands like Clorox, Zep, and Rubbermaid, and in larger sizes so you can take on any cleaning job knowing you have the quantity you need. Shop Lowe'sForPros.com and have your items delivered or pick up in store. Lowe's, the new home for pros. U.S. only.
Even in times like these, special occasions happen. And when an occasion calls for special, it calls for 117 Prime, Memphis's premier downtown dining destination. From the spectacular 36-ounce porterhouse paired with a Ferrari Carano Cabernet, to the jumbo lump crab cakes, to the raw bar with oysters fresh off the boat from the Gulf and the East Coast, there is simply no finer dining experience in Memphis than 117 Prime in the heart of downtown. These are complicated times, but if you want simply the best, you want 117 Prime.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
At First Bank Mortgage, their core purpose is to help you get to a better place. That better place may be a lower monthly payment, that vacation you thought was impossible, or getting into a home with a fenced backyard where your kids can play. To get into your better place, First Bank Mortgage makes decisions right here at home. Dedicated to helping you get to your better place, First Bank Mortgage. Call Daniel Mooney at 901-462-0145 today. NMLS 741022. Equal housing lender.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Cruising through our final hour and one of our final, we're going through the playoffs, but one of our final Friday football forecasts, and we've got to get busy because we've got lots of games to choose from. A triple header on Saturday, a triple header on Sunday, and then we've got the championship game, Alabama and Ohio State, on Monday night. So this is going to be fun the next few days.
We'll pick Bama and Ohio State Monday at 5:30, and in our Monday at 5:30 spot, we will do the Big Four all-time quarterbacks at Bama and Ohio State, and it's harder than you think it is.
Well, Namath and Bart Starr.
Slow way down.
Well, I got to go.
Bart Starr didn't win anything in college.
Right. He didn't even start like when he first got there, right?
People hardly knew he was there. Slow down on the old schoolers because Bart Starr, Namath, and Stabler.
No, Stabler for sure.
We'll do it Monday at 5:30. All right.
Oh, I'm just trying to think of Ohio State, and the first one comes to my mind is Art Schleister. Well,
sure could.
Yeah.
Rex Kern.
Oh, yeah.
Craig Krenzel got him a national championship.
Yeah.
Cardell for 3 games. No. JT
No.
Barrett. Justin Fields right now.
Well,
if we were going,
you could put him in the mix for sure. How about Dwayne Haskins?
Joe
Get in
Germain?
there?
How about Troy Smith, the Heisman Trophy winner?
Can we put in Joe Burrow because he was there for a minute? Just kidding.
If we're going,
Monday at 5:30.
If we're going top 4 quarterbacks from Ohio State with the best quotes, Cardell Jones would be in there because the best quote.
Cardell had.
I didn't come here to play no school.
That's right.
Best
And then he
quote of all
graduated.
time.
But then he graduated and got his diploma from a great university. Monday at 5:30 we'll do Buckeyes and Crimson Tide for the year. Here's the standings. I am 108 and 102. That's good for 15 points.
Okay.
Dave, you are 103 and 10. I'm sorry, that's good for 17 points. You are 103 and 107. That's good for 16 points.
Yeah, because
so I lead you by 6 picks.
I had plenty of good shocks, but we're out of those now.
But you did, man. You shocked us. So you only trail by a point. You're still very alive. Drew, you're playing out the proverbial string.
I killed
you
it
for the
this year.
year.
I know I did so good.
93 and 117 minus 9. So here we go on playoffs. Bowls, I was 16 and 9. Dave, you were 13 and 12. Drew, you were 10 and 15. So I won back the bowl crown. First time ever I lost it to you last year by 1 game and ultimately lost the picks to you by 1 point. And I told you, I went Dan Mullen on you. I'll never lose to you again at bowl time.
I should have taken it more seriously, to be honest with you. The pandemic had me
You're not
apathetic.
really going to go there.
Dave's like the SEC. He's won every bowl game he's cared about.
Yeah. When he doesn't care, he doesn't care. That's good stuff, Dave. After all that grief we gave you about when we let you win the golf picks.
Yeah, exactly.
And we did. All right, first game tomorrow.
Yep.
12:05. CBS Buffalo minus 6.5 over the Indianapolis Colts.
Sports 56, 98.5 and 96.1.
There you go.
That.
Yeah, Westwood won. We're your home all the way through through Super Bowl 5. I'm going to take Indy and take the 6.5. I'm not calling straight up. And I don't know that I want it straight up. I'm kind of pulling for Buffalo, the long-suffering fans there, but I'm going to take Indy plus the points. Dave?
Well, good. I'm glad that you're doing that, although I'm a little worried when we heard from the man, and that would be Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet, who said wild card games 10-1 the last couple of years on underdogs covering. 10-1. So that scares me a little bit, but I'm a Josh Allen guy. I'm the first guy here that said, watch Buffalo this year. Watch this guy, Allen. I'm staying with him. I say they will win by a touchdown and cover by that half point.
Drew, break the tie.
It's hard to go against Bruce Marshall, especially when he's got him as basically winning by 11. But I think Phillip Rivers and the Colts, they've got a great run game. Bills, a good defense, but can get it hurt on the ground. I'm going to take the Colts. Bills win by about 5.
Okay.
True, we stay with you. 3:40 Saturday, tomorrow on Fox, NFC Wild Card. Seattle minus 3.5 over the Rams. Your pick, Drew.
I'm going to take the Seahawks. They've been a little roller coastery for me throughout the last 5-6 weeks of the season. But with Jared Goff still questionable, you got to take a veteran like Russell Wilson in a playoff game.
Give me Rams. Give me Rams straight up, whether it's from the Arizona Hot Shots and John Walford or it's Jared Goff. Dave?
Well, if it's not Jared Goff, you have no chance. I think Seattle is a team that came into this season thinking they could win a Super Bowl. Now they're going to have to prove it. And I think they will. I like Seattle. I think they'll win by 10 points in this game. All they're giving away is 3.5. So I will take the Seahawks.
Keep that thinking cap on, Dave. We go to the next game, 7:15 tomorrow night, NBC. Tampa Bay minus 8.5 in our nation's capital against Washington. Who do you have?
Well, I hate taking all the favorites, especially when we learned that underdogs usually rule the wild card world, but I can't think that Washington, which was able to eke it out last week, I just can't imagine that they will be able to stay with Tom Brady. I think he's on a mission to prove that it was him and not Bill Belichick. I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, even though they're giving away 8.5.
Drew?
8.5 is just too much for me. Washington's got a great defense. I think they'll hold Tom Brady to probably keep him under 30, gives Alex Smith or whoever's behind center to hopefully be able to put up some points. The Bucs win, but I'm going to take Washington football team to cover.
Copy and paste on the analysis, Drew. I think it's maybe even less than 30. I think that young Washington D-line makes it a long day for Tom Brady. Buccaneers win, but they don't get the cash. So Drew and I have Washington.
Wow.
Dave, you have Tampa Bay.
I'm a lone wolf on a couple of these here, so we could see
You
shake
are.
up, or you're going to pull
can.
away. That is for sure. All right, let's get
One
to
or the
Sunday. Baltimore at Tennessee. Baltimore, I think, is the only road favorite of the
They
6
are
games.
3.5.
The Bucs
Give me
are
the
a road
Titans.
favorite as well.
Oh, the Bucs are. You're
Yeah,
right.
that's right.
You're right.
That's right. We just give me the Titans plus the 3.5 at home, straight up big over Baltimore, and the questions really start about Lamar.
I hate to say this, but I think Derrick Henry is going to run and keep the ball away. And you've seen what happens with that quarterback in big games. It doesn't work out very well for him. I don't think it will either. I'm going to take the Titans as well. I know you are taking Baltimore.
I am, and it's basically just because.
Have
of the
you
shirt that
ever
I-
not taken Baltimore in a pick?
Because you're a homer.
I've
Just
never
say
not.
it.
I,
That's why
I
you're
am a
taking
homer.
them.
I am 100%
That's
okay
fine.
with.
What shirt do you have
saying
on
that.
right now?
A Baltimore Ravens shirt. It's just like
Okay.
I've never once picked against the Tigers, regardless of a point spread. I've always
That's
picked
okay.
them to win, and unfortunately, I'm taking them just because I am a homer. I don't have a lot of faith and confidence that we're going to be able to stop Derrick Henry, and I'm afraid y'all might be right, but. Let's go Ravens.
Okay, there you
It's
go.
a big sign of maturity when you just say, "Yeah, I'm taking them because it's my team." Heck with y'all. We are 21-31 this year on group lock, so you might have been wise to be different. 10.5. The Saints over your Bears, Dave. At the site of the Bears' biggest victory ever, that mauling of New England way back on Super Bowl Sunday.
I got to tell you, the Bears won the '63 World Championship in
Nobody
Wrigley Field.
cares.
That was great. The Bears killed the Redskins. I don't even
Nobody
know where that
cares.
game was in the '40s. So that's not the biggest win
They don't.
in the history
They
of,
don't even
of the
talk.
NFL.
Sure, it is.
You will never
to
forget
finish
the way
18-1.
you listen to me. You who love history, that's why you love Alabama so much. Don't forget, we will never
I think
forget.
they're pretty good in the current too, aren't they?
We'll never forget the way you thrill the nation with the T formation. This goes back a long way. There's a lot of big games the Bears have won. This is
Did you just
another
compare
one.
Alabama's history to the Bears?
Well, it doesn't go back as far as the Bears. No, I didn't.
It goes back further than the Bears. They were winning Rose Bowls in the 20s.
Well, the Bears were. I don't know. I don't think they were playing in the 20s. I think George House was playing with the Yankees in the 20s. So
Yeah. So,
but it's
again,
close. It's very close.
No, that Alabama football history morphs the Bears.
In your
Saints
eyes.
maul the Bears.
So you're going Saints. I knew you would. Drew?
Who's playing quarterback, Mitch Mitchell or Mitch Trubisky?
Mitch Trubisky, baby.
I didn't.
Oh.
Either answer would have gotten the same result. Give me the Saints.
Give me the Saints. So I am going to say the last time I went against the Bears, you guys gave me so much grief. It was unbelievable.
And you lost.
Unbelievable. I don't think the Bears are going to win this game if they are smart with their play calling and if the defense plays like it did for the first 3 quarters of the game against Green Bay. And if Nagy or the OC doesn't
Boy,
do
how many
stupid,
ifs are in this setup?
stupid things.
If there's a drinking game on the ifs in this setup, we're all comatose.
The Bears are going to cover this game. I feel really good about the Bears covering. Bear down, Chicago Bears.
Dave, just go ahead to that full understanding that Drew just came to on the Ravens pick.
That's not the same. I didn't say the Bears would win the game. I said the Bears would cover.
All right, last game of the weekend, maybe the best game, and this is it's my Browns. That's why I'm picking them. My new
Wait,
team.
but last week it was your Bears.
Well, Dave, you know how I am. I'm going to
You
take my
really are
Browns.
terrible.
My Browns straight up big over
Ooh,
Pittsburgh.
Wow, I love that. I am so glad you did that because I am chasing you. I think this is going to be a terrible game. No Stefanski. I don't know how many people are out.
Without a coach, I just took a team.
I don't know how in the world.
What a stupid pick. I took a team that doesn't have its coach.
You don't even know how many guys are playing because they got so many COVID cases. This is Pittsburgh all the way big. No sweat. Hello. This is a game for Roethlisberger to keep playing, baby. He and his team want to play. I can't wait to tell Randy Fichtner and Keith Butler about how you dissed them.
Our analysis day, it's almost like we got into that malt liquor from Athens Brewery.
Tiger Tail. Grind City Brewing, buddy.
Hi, Drew.
I'm with Dave on this one. It's not even close. Steelers win by 12-14, maybe even more.
My Browns.
You can have them. You can definitely have them. This portion of our show is brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Group. I actually had a nice conversation with Matt Eflin the other day. You wouldn't believe how many new people he has gotten, how many folks that he deals with on a regular basis, how many big carriers come to him looking for him to work his magic with his clients. It's really a terrific organization. It is all about service. They never sacrifice that or quality. And the thing that I love about Matt and his team of insurance professionals is they will work really hard to find the right program that fits your needs and your budget. And they're always on the money. If you are looking for any kind of home or auto insurance, they got 10 leading companies they have access with. They find the right one that fits you. Same thing with commercial insurance for small to mid-sized businesses. Yes, the Eflin Insurance team does personal insurance and business, and they really are made for small to mid-sized businesses. And I don't want you to forget life insurance. Everybody knows how important that can be. Eflin's got you covered there, too, with quotes from 15 well-respected companies. And once again, you're never going to have to wonder. You always know you find the right deal that is the right fit for your needs and your budgets. All you got to do is call Grant, Andrew, or Heath at 901-386-GUR. That's 4777. They put the GUR in because they're big supporters of the U of M. Again, that number for the Eflin Insurance team, 901-386-4777. They will protect you the right way at the Eflin Insurance Group. Back in a minute. It'll be crunch time and a time to get you into the weekend on Sports Time on Sports 56.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio. We are Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
2021 is finally here. Might I suggest we start the wonderful new year with a makeover for your beautiful house. I'm Brian Elder. I'm a roofer. I fix roofs. Don't let them tell you that it has to be replaced when all it may need is some love. 867-0303. Let me love on your roof. I've made quite the reputation over the last decade as the guy to call after the insurance company denies the claim. Overturning a claim that has gone bad is an art form where you argue county code, manufacturer specs, and details of your policy that they have to abide by. So let me see it first. If I say it's a claim, it's a claim. 867-0303. Money is free at Brian Elder Roofing with 0% financing for half a decade. I'll measure your roof from outer space and get you a quote right over the phone. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
The playoffs are the best time of year to bet on pro football. I can't wait for this weekend's action on FanDuel Sportsbook. And if you've never tried FanDuel before, the playoffs are the perfect time to give it a shot. Because right now, new users get an exclusive 25-1 odds boost on any team to win during the wild card round this weekend. That's right, 25-1 odds on any team, any playoff game this weekend. The Buffalo Bills, always keep an eye on them, and Tom Brady. He's out there lurking with the Buccaneers. So don't miss out on this exclusive offer. Betting on it, FanDuel all season long has been so much fun. Easy to register, easy to deposit, easy to find your bet, and you get your winnings back in as little as 24 hours because it's the right thing to do. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and use promo code CASH so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code CASH. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only. Must wager on designated boost market. Deposit required. Max bonus $125. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Voloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Final portion of the week brought to you by Conway Services. Heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and of course the free furnace. Well, that's what happens in January every year with John Conway. So smart. He knows January's slow. He's got a warehouse full. Crews are looking for things to do. So to spark business during the cold winter months, Conway will give away a Carrier 80% gas furnace free if you get a standard Carrier air conditioning system. That's right. Get the air conditioning system in the month of January, and you get a free gas furnace. And if that's not enough, John says, let me give you an April air cleaner free, a 10-year parts warranty, that's part of the deal, a free Nest thermostat, that's up to $2,000 in savings. Plus, you get your new system for as low as $139 a month or 12 months interest-free. Now, anybody can afford that. All you got to do is make the call. 384-3511. That's 384-3511. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and free furnace January. Ladies and gentlemen, it is officially crunch time.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is for all the biggest crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye!
Boop! Choo!
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
It's obviously crunch time. Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
On one, on two, on three. Hey!
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Well, look at that leaderboard out at Kapalua, Dave, and all those former FedEx St. Jude Invitational winners like Dustin Johnson, Harris English, Justin Thomas, all tied for the lead right now. Look at the tournament we're going to have this weekend. How far was your drive out there?
680 yards. No, my drive, first of all, you got to understand, and you'll see it if you're looking at 18. It is downhill. It is down trade winds. And literally, I hit the drive close to 500 yards. I did get on that green in two. I did.
Well, I knew you did. We're going to keep an eye on that all weekend. It'll be fun. All the college basketball we talked about earlier. But in the NFL, can Phillip Rivers win in Buffalo? Can Jared Goff play in Seattle? Can Alex Smith produce enough points to make it a game? And Lamar, seriously, Drew, the questions will really be heavy if he doesn't win this weekend. The Bears' defense, can they keep it close down at the Dome? Can they try to tap in to that great 85 defense and what they did to the Patriots there?
Can Mitch make something happen? Can
he put 20? Can he put 20 points on the board, Dave? Seriously, can he?
I think he can. I do.
We'll keep eye on that.
Robinson, don't forget it. The running game has gotten a whole lot better of late. The Bears are.
I learned today what happened to all those NFL offers for Jim Harbaugh. What happened to them? What'd you learn?
I learned today. Well, first Desmond Ridder. Good news for Cincinnati, the team the Tigers. Clearly, that's their best rivalry. He decided to stay. That's good news. But we just found out that Notre Dame has hired away their defensive coordinator, Marcus Freeman. So he leaves Cincinnati to go to South Bend.
Fickell knows what he's doing.
But Luke Fickell is the defensive guy. So I don't think that will be a critical thing at all. What could you have done without?
I could have done without Deshaun Watson and J.J. Watt, thinking that the front office owes them, letting them know about future moves for the team. I don't think they do. J.J. Watt's had 8 career playoff games. He's got 6 sacks in 8 career playoff games. Deshaun Watson, still a younger player. It's good to bring veteran players in, but those veteran players have to have some chops about them, and I think both of them's resume pretty thin right now in the NFL.
Well, it's interesting because it's a different sport, but in the NBA, the team leader or the guy that makes the most money, they usually have input with the owner.
They do.
As to what is going on. In the NFL, where you have so many more players, maybe it is not as important. But if you've got two guys that are both under contract, making a lot of money, and can become dissatisfied and have the ear of your players, and you were the group as an owner said, we want your input, and then ignore them. I think that's,
you don't listen to them.
That's on the owner. I really do. I think that was stupid of the owner.
And that the ownership group in Houston, it brought football back to Houston, but
is exactly right. I guess I could have done without this. Christian Dawkins, remember him? Controversial middleman at the center of the prolonged FBI investigation. Well, he is starting another an agency with a registered NBA agent named Brian Jungreis. I think that's right. The new agency is called Parlay Sports and Entertainment. So in separate interviews with Yahoo, both men stated Jungreis will handle all the negotiations and player contracts. Dawkins will focus on music and entertainment. That side of the business.
Give them your credit card number, and all the picks are absolutely free.
Yeah, exactly. This guy's 28 years old, Dawkins. I wouldn't go anywhere near that. Not anywhere near that.
Touch it.
Andy Schiffman is the way to go if you're in the NBA player market, or Jimmy Sexton, or any of those reputable guys. That would be my take on that. We got lots to watch.
That's a good way to work for free.
Yeah, lots to watch, including the NFL triple headers, and lots to listen to. We've got all the games with the exception of the Tampa-Washington game, because that game will be preempted by Ole Miss and LSU tomorrow night. Broadcast starting at 7 right here on Sports 56, 98.5 and 96.1. And then, of course, we'll be here on Monday, and we will talk all about the college football championship game.
Good luck to y'all's teams. I know y'all are wishing my Browns well, so maybe all our teams can win. Your Ravens, your Bears, and my Browns.
Your Browns.
Good luck.
Yeah.
My question for you is, what is the over-under on fickle decisions made
17
by Brett
and a half.
Norsworthy? Have a good one.
I've been a Brown fan since 5:30.
Have a great week, and we'll see you all Monday.